When I opened my eyes again, I had changed my life's ambition. I did not force Lin Tingshan to marry me by claiming we had been intimate, nor did I swear to him that I would spend the rest of my life solely by his side, tending to the home and children. The National College entrance exam was reformed in 1980. He chose to serve his country by joining the military. As for me, I applied to the medical school at Tsinghua University. In my past life, I followed him into the cultural troupe, only to watch helplessly as he fell in love with someone else in the troupe. In this life, I only wish for him to pursue his own happiness. Let's go our separate ways and make a clean break. Later, when I had completed my studies and was dispatched on a rescue mission, as the regiment commander, his eyes bloodshot, he demanded of me, "Wen Qiansu, why did you break your promise? Are you really applying to Tsinghua or Peking University? Are you sure about this?" My classmate, who was taking the college entrance exam with me, snatched my application form in shock, her expression inscrutable. "Didn't you say you were just taking the exam for the heck of it, with no real intention of going to university? After all, your Lin Tingshan is still here. He's so handsome, joined the army at a young age. Who knows how many of the educated youth sent down to the countryside have their eyes on him? Aren't you afraid that if you leave, he'll run off with someone else?" In her agitation, her voice was so loud it drew the attention of quite a few people nearby, who stopped to watch. In this modest-sized village, everyone knows each other, so of course they're all aware of the situation between me and Lin Tingshan. Most importantly, they all know I've been chasing after Lin Tingshan since we were kids, and that I shamelessly managed to secure this marriage contract. No way. She's applying to Tsinghua and Peking University. Who'd believe that? Just the other day, I heard her threatening Lin Tingshan, saying he'd have to marry her if she couldn't get into the cultural troupe. What's she up to now? If you ask me, she's just throwing a tantrum over what happened the other day, trying to get Lin Tingshan's attention this way. No wonder nobody likes her. Lin Tingshan just exchanged a few words with Zhou Ji, and when Qiansu made a huge scene, what man could put up with that? With just a few words, the crowd erupted, due to past stereotypes. No one believed I would actually leave Lin Tingshan to study at Tsinghua or Peking University. Be honest with us. How long is this little act of yours going to last? Don't push it too far. If you don't want him, there's a whole line of people waiting for their chance. Someone seized the moment to voice their doubt. Frowning, I replied, "I'm not putting on an act. I was naive before and made a lot of mistakes. I know I was wrong now, and I'm willing to make amends. Don't I deserve a chance?" The moment I said that, everyone present stared at me as if I were an idiot. To make matters worse, they even reached out and felt my forehead. "No fever here. Have you lost your mind from anger? Wen Qiansu, don't tell me it wasn't you who was bragging all over the place about your intimacy, forcing Lin Tingshan to come and propose." At the mention of this, my fists clenched involuntarily, and my face flushed crimson. Of all the times to be reborn, why now? I only returned after the deed was done, when it was already too late for anything. The whole village knows by now that I was willing to ruin my own reputation just to marry Lin Tingshan. So now, no matter what I do, nobody believes me. You'll all find out in time. When no one would listen, I refused to explain, choosing to let the future prove me right. Even we can see right through that, let alone Lin Tingshan. Whatever. I can't be bothered arguing with you. I'm out of here. As the crowd dispersed, I resolutely handed in my application form and strode out. Given a second chance, I've come to appreciate the village scene all the more. It may lack the bustle of later times, but it's overflowing with warmth and community spirit. In just the short walk home, quite a few people called out my name and greeted me warmly. Among them, quite a few people teased me about being Lin Tingshan's future bride, but I sternly rebuffed each and every one of them. In this lifetime, since I've decided to have no ties to him, I should clear things up thoroughly and without delay. "What are you doing?" To my surprise, Lin Tingshan happened to be passing by. His handsome features tightened slightly, his eyes brimming with impatience. "Wen Qiansu, if this is about Aji, I thought I'd made myself perfectly clear. She came to see me that day about the cultural troops business. Nothing personal. Can't you be reasonable? Stop spreading rumors everywhere. I've already said I'll marry you, and I will. Go home, now. Stop making a scene out here." After scolding me, Lin Tingshan bowed to the onlooking neighbors. "My apologies for the trouble. She's just like this, can't tolerate anyone." When he speaks of Zhou Ji, his tone is tender, almost cloyingly sweet, but when the topic shifts to me, his voice turns stiff and cold. Anyone could see the blatant difference in how he treats us. They must have been destined from a past life. I only despise my own past blindness and foolishness for not seeing it until now. "Lin Tingshan, I didn't bring up your precious Aji. And I'm not spreading rumors, I'm just clarifying the situation between us. I will not marry you. This was the first time I had ever taken a stand in front of Lin Tingshan. Instead of being pleased, he grew even more impatient. Don't think I don't know what tricks you're playing, Wen Qiansu. Others might not see through you, but I do. You'd do anything to marry me, even going as far as stripping. His words cut off abruptly, my face pale. I trembled. Lin Tingshan blinked, a look of regret crossing his face. My apologies. Such an incident would have a devastating impact on a woman's reputation, so, to save face, Lin Tingshan had no choice but to marry me. Just like in a past life, he compromised with fate and married a dull woman like me, later, to stay by his side. I gave up university and resolutely joined the cultural troupe. I spent my entire life in a flurry of activity, bearing his children, raising his family, and managing the household, yet in the end, he very publicly pursued Zhou Ji, declaring her to be his one and only true love. I was literally driven to my grave by rage. Thankfully, heaven has eyes, and it gave me a chance to start over. This time, I absolutely will not waste my entire life on Lin Tingshan. Lin Tingshan, I'm serious. You're young and handsome, and you're in the military, you'll have no trouble finding a good match. As for me, I was immature before. You can scold me or even hit me if you want, and I'll clear up all those rumors myself. You don't have to marry me. From now on, let's go our separate ways and leave each other be. I rehearsed those words 3 times in my head before saying them. Lin Tingshan gave me a puzzled glance, then laughed, a laugh born of sheer fury. Wen Qiansu, the same trick only works once. Using it again just makes you tiresome. Go home. Lin Tingshan has always been a patient man. To others, he appears polite, witty, and the very picture of a refined gentleman. But with me, he can't muster an ounce of patience. Not that I blame him. A while back, I did trick him into meeting me by pretending it was a farewell, hoping to end up in his bed. If Lin Tingshan weren't such an upright gentleman, most people would have found it impossible to resist. The most crucial part is that, even if he did nothing, I would claim that we had been intimate. If he refused to marry me, I would threaten to end my life. My past actions were utterly reckless and excessive. I don't expect Lin Tingshan to believe me right away. Some things can only be proven with time. Once I'd made up my mind, I walked home with my head held high, meeting all the curious stares head-on. Lin Tingshan followed right behind me. His place wasn't far from mine, but we weren't exactly the kind of people who would walk home together. Lin Tingshan, the person behind me, showed no sign of leaving. I turned to face him. If you have something to say, just say it. What's the point of following me like this? Wasn't it you who said we're getting married? And insisted on driving me home from now on? Wen Qiansu, what kind of game are you playing now? Don't tell me you're going to claim you've lost your memory again. My words made Lin Tingshan's brow furrow deeply in anger. I smacked my own forehead in frustration. How could I have forgotten about that? You don't need to drive me anymore. I've already told you, I'm not going to marry you, so naturally, I don't need your rides. Go back. Zhou Ji is waiting for you. I wasn't lying. Lin Tingshan's house was just a few dozen meters away, and from my vantage point, I could clearly see Zhou Ji standing outside their door. They were madly in love in their past life. Now that I'm stepping aside, the star-crossed lovers should finally get their happy ending. Understanding the situation, I turned to leave. Lin Tingshan glanced toward his house and urgently grabbed my sleeve. What exactly are you trying to do, Wen Qiansu? I don't have time for your games, I'm busy. If you've misunderstood my relationship with Zhou Ji, then let's go clear it up right now. Come on. He dragged me firmly toward the front door, where Zhou Ji stood waiting. She wore a white dress, standing in the cold wind like a resilient, unyielding little flower. Lin Tingshan, let go of me. I can walk on my own. I struggled to break free from his grip, desperate to maintain some semblance of grace in front of Zhou Ji. As I approached her, the dull ache in my chest left me utterly exposed. The sadness still lingers, just as my heart still beats for Lin Tingshan whenever I see him again. Tingshan, what's going on with you two? Did Qiansu upset you again? She's young, don't take it to heart. When Zhou Ji saw me standing behind Lin Tingshan, she bit her lip tightly. Her unhappiness radiated so naturally that Lin Tingshan unconsciously let go of my hand. Ah Ji, Qiansu might have misunderstood our relationship. That's why I specifically asked her to come, to clarify in person that you and I are just friends, right? He couldn't even bring himself to look Zhou Ji in the eye as he said it, and I let out a scornful laugh in my heart. Zhou Ji, standing nearby, looked as if she might collapse. After giving a slight nod, she turned and fled, unable to bear the humiliation. Aren't you going after her? Watching the one he loved run away in distress without making a move to stop her. I couldn't help but speak up. Lin Tingshan's eyes were filled with smoldering anger as he asked me, "Are you satisfied now?" I wasn't satisfied. How could I tell him that in my past life, the suffering I endured was far more humiliating than this? Even on my deathbed, my only son refused to acknowledge me. He said, "You used dirty tricks to marry Dad, forcing him and Aunt Jo to live their whole lives as star-crossed lovers. Now that you're dying, it's all your just desserts, honestly. I'm ashamed to have come from your womb." That was the final straw that broke me. And at that moment, Lin Tingshan was standing outside the hospital room, holding his Zhou, with no time to spare for me. Just as he never had time to raise his own children, Lin Tingshan, I let out a long, slow breath, exhaling the suffocating memories. "I truly won't pressure you to get married anymore. If you like Zhou, go after her right now. I won't interfere in your affairs again. And I certainly won't target her deliberately. At the latest by tomorrow, I'll have someone from the family come and explain everything to you clearly." I thought that given a second chance, I would calmly let go of Lin Tingshan, but in reality, the overwhelming tide of affection kept drawing fresh tears from my eyes. I fled in a panic, back to the home in my memory that felt both familiar and strange. That year, my grandmother, who I depended on for everything, was still alive. Seeing my reddened eyes, she quickly put down her work and wiped my tears with her rough palm. "What's wrong? Who's been bullying my Chensu? Was it that boy from the Lin family? Tell me, and I'll go give him a piece of my mind." Grandma put on a fierce face, and I laughed through my tears. "No one's bullying me, Grandma. Don't you know your own granddaughter? Who could possibly bully me?" Seeing my grandmother after so long filled my heart with an irrepressible joy. It was the same in my past life. No matter what happened or how foolish my actions were, Grandma never blamed me. If it weren't for me, Grandma wouldn't have passed away so early. Overcome with rage, "Grandma, I don't want to marry Lin Tingshan. For my own happiness, and for Grandma's sake, I want to get this marriage arrangement settled as soon as possible." "Yes, yes, of course." Grandma kept saying yes, her hands waving with excitement. "I never liked that boy anyway. He's such a dull, quiet type, can't get a word out of him all day, and he's got no warmth or care for others. My precious Chensu is blessed with such good fortune. She shouldn't have to suffer by marrying into that family. Come on, I'll take you right now to call off the engagement." It was right in the middle of dinner time, and I thought about stopping Grandma, suggesting we go tomorrow instead, but she was a whirlwind of energy. Before I could even get a word out, she was already dragging me over to Lin Tingshan's house. "Wonderful news, absolutely wonderful news." The voice reached us before the person did. "What wonderful news?" Lin Tingshan's parents came out to greet us, clearly against their will. They despised me. In my past life, no matter how long I had been married into this family, Lin Tingshan's mother would constantly make snide remarks, implying I was shameless and had no sense of decency. When you get right down to it, the things I did weren't what a normal, respectable girl would ever do. That's why they hated me so much. This is absolutely wonderful news. My Qiansu has finally come to her senses and decided not to marry your stone-faced son. Don't you all agree this is the best news ever, Mrs. Lin's forced smile froze on her face. It had never crossed her mind that the family of the daughter-in-law she looked down upon from the bottom of her heart would, in turn, look down on her own son. What kind of talk is this? The whole village has been gossiping about these two kids for ages. You can't just call off the engagement on a whim. Who would ever want her after this? Mrs. Lin didn't specify who she was, but her eyes were fixed squarely on me. Her look clearly said that if I didn't marry Lin Tingshan, no one else would have me. Who cares if anyone else wants her? Our Qiansu is obedient and sweet-natured. She's going to study in the big city later, and there'll be plenty of suitors lining up for her. Who on earth would be interested in your stone-faced son? Unfortunately, Grandma didn't catch the implied meaning in her words. Instead, she just kept praising my character. "Granny Wen, you'd better be sure about this. Once we settle it today, there's no going back. Don't let anyone come crawling back to you later, begging and putting you through all that trouble again." Sensing that today's matter was indeed serious, Mrs. Lin said with a cold, sneering tone, "In this village, it had always been her son who looked down on others. The idea of him being the one rejected was simply unthinkable." "Mom, what are you all talking about? Is that Grandma and Wen Qiansu, are they here for dinner?" Just as Lin Tingshan came out of his room to eat, Grandma shot him a fierce glare. "Who has the appetite for your family's food? I'm here today to call off the engagement. You're not good enough for my granddaughter." "Grandma," the person beside me was exaggerating too much. I was just about to stop her when Lin Tingshan grabbed my wrist. "Come with me." He radiated an aura that warned others to keep their distance. In a moment of thoughtlessness, I instinctively started to follow him, only to be yanked back by Grandma. I'm not going anywhere with you, let me make this perfectly clear right now, Qiansu is not marrying you, you can take it or leave it, we're leaving. Grandma tried to pull me away, but Lin Tingshan refused to let go. When Qiansu, don't push it, I'm warning you, think this through, if you step out that door today, it's over between us for good. He was trying to threaten me, a cold sneer rose in my heart, mixed with a pang of sorrow. Thank you, I've made up my mind. I shook off Lin Tingshan's hand and resolutely followed my grandmother away from the spot. The very next day, the Lin family made a big, noisy show of announcing that their past engagement with me was all a joke, and that Zhou Ji was now their chosen daughter-in-law. As if to prove the point, Lin Tingshan made a point of taking Zhou Ji out and about everywhere, especially when passing by my house. He stopped right there to fix Zhou Ji's hair and feed her a white rabbit creamy candy. In this day and age, white rabbit creamy candy was a rare treat. While Zhou Ji was flattered and overwhelmed, she caught sight of me out of the corner of her eye. Qiansu, she quickly distanced herself from Lin Tingshan, hiding behind him. Don't get the wrong idea, it's not what you think between Tingshan and me. Then what is it? My calm tone completely infuriated Lin Tingshan. He pulled Zhou Ji into a tight, possessive embrace. Ah Ji, why are you explaining anything to her? I have nothing to do with her anymore, you're my fiancé now. If it weren't for her, we'd be married already. You're just too kind-hearted, that's why she always takes advantage of you. With a haughty air, he finished speaking and dragged Zhou Ji away. I found the whole scene utterly childish. Shaking my head, I went home to pack my things. With the memories from my past life, I'm confident I can get into Tsinghua or Peking University, which made my grandmother very happy. During this time, she prepared a lot of things for me, and the days just passed by one after another. Lin Tingshan and Zhou Ji grew more and more affectionate. Rumors often spread in the village that Lin Tingshan spent a fortune to pamper his young wife. He not only bought her the latest style of dresses but also furnished her family home with a brand new sewing machine. Every time this happens, I, his former fiancé, get dragged into the comparison. They say the difference between love and indifference is painfully clear. I tell myself it's all in the past, but a lifetime of feeling still overwhelms me with an ache I can't control. But I didn't make a scene, nor did I go to see Lin Tingshan again. Anyone with half a brain could see I was genuinely trying to let go. The day I received my university acceptance letter, firecrackers crackled throughout the village. Clutching the letter bearing my name, I was overcome with emotion. Tears of joy streaming down my face. My grandmother was up at the crack of dawn, rushing from house to house. She wanted to share the good news with everyone and prove that her granddaughter was second to none. When Qiansu, as I stood there, lost in thought with my luggage in hand, a figure stumbled out from a dark corner, reeking of alcohol. Are you really going to leave for college? Are you leaving me behind? He held me tightly, as if I would vanish the moment he let go. Lin Tingshan, what's gotten into you? I bit down hard on the wrist in front of me. Lin Tingshan cried out in pain, but he didn't let go. You've been chasing after me since we were kids. I thought I hated you. I really did, but when I heard you say you were going off to college and leaving me behind, I didn't feel a shred of happiness. When Qiansu, I know I was wrong, please don't leave me. Okay, if that's not enough, you can hit me or yell at me. Everything with Zhou Ji these past few months, it was all just to get a rise out of you. Scorching tears fell on my neck. In a lifetime of knowing him, this was the first time I had ever seen Lin Tingshan cry for me, but I didn't soften. I mustered all my strength and pushed him out the door. Lin Tingshan, you should leave. If you don't want to get me into trouble, then go. Now, the expectations placed on women in this era are incredibly high. Lin Tingshan is now Zhou Ji's fiancé. If someone with ill intentions saw him drunk in my home, there's no telling what rumors would start. Qiansu, coming to his senses, Lin Tingshan stubbornly tried to rush forward and embrace me, even though Grandma never said it out loud. I often saw her sighing during this time. As a woman herself, she knew all too well that if I couldn't leave these mountains, I'd be buried here by their gossip and rumors. So, I couldn't let my already precarious reputation come crashing down. Lin Tingshan, you're drunk. You were the one who said you'd rather die than marry me. You were also the one who said I'm the person you despise most. You like Zhou Ji. I won't stand in your way, and I hope you'll stop causing me trouble. At those words, Lin Tingshan's foot froze mid-step. He was drunk, yet not drunk. Otherwise, how could his thoughts be so clear? You should leave. In a few days, I'll be gone too. The door closed, and I heard Lin Tingshan's muffled sobs. At this point, he had no choice, nor did he have the right to choose. 3 days later, I shouldered my pack and set off for Tsinghua University. Lin Tingshan came to see me off. He looked much more haggard, with Zhou Ji standing beside him. It was the same in my past life. They stood side by side, always together, and I, after a lifetime, can finally smile at them with true peace. I might not make it back for your wedding. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness together and a swift arrival of a beautiful baby. Zhou Ji's child is sure to be as sensible as she is and will love her dearly. After all, in our past life, even my son, who shared no blood with her, adored her. Thank you, Qiansu. Two voices called out at the same time. Zhou Ji looked in surprise at Lin Tingshan's outstretched hand, her lips trembling. I deftly sidestepped the gesture and waved to the crowd. No need to see me off, I'll be on my way. The crackle of firecrackers once again thundered through the village. I climbed onto the ox cart and gradually faded into the distance, enveloped in smoke. This time, I didn't look back, for the road ahead was surely bright and promising. After another couple of weeks, moving from place to place, I finally arrived at the long-cherished Tsinghua University. Unlike my past life, the students here were brimming with the vitality and beauty of youth. It was a kind of beauty I had never known before. Hello, classmate, please come here to register. The senior students welcoming me enthusiastically explained everything about the school, and I finally felt it for real. I had been given a second chance at life. I was no longer facing household chores, a crying child, or the harsh demands of my mother-in-law. Classmate, why are you crying? My tears, born of overwhelming emotion, left my roommate at a loss. The others quickly gathered around me, offering a chorus of comforting words. It's nothing, I'm just a bit overwhelmed. I wiped my tears and introduced myself with composure. A collective sigh of relief went through the roommates. Ah, don't get so worked up. This is just the beginning. I came from a small mountain village too. Things will only get better from here. We have a brighter future ahead of us. She thought I had been treated terribly at home, which was why I shed tears of emotion after escaping that place. I didn't offer an explanation, but instead turned to look outside. Yes, the future will be better. I will be better. And the country will be better too. This is the point I, from a future time, am most proud of. In my second month of school, I fell in love with medicine with an even more consuming passion. I am acutely aware of the many diseases that will afflict future generations, and I am determined to tackle these challenges head-on as early as possible. To my surprise, my usually unreliable roommate was waiting for me outside the classroom, her expression a complex mix of emotions. Qiansu, you didn't run away because your family is forcing you into an arranged marriage, did you? I know it's not right to say this, but a military marriage. Maybe you should think it over carefully. I furrowed my brow in confusion, and my other roommate grabbed my arm. Someone came looking for you at the dorm today. I saw him, a total hunk in a military uniform. He caused quite a stir with the girls on campus. Is he your boyfriend? Nice catch. Exactly, don't listen to her nonsense. A guy that gorgeous. Even if you came here to study, you wouldn't just run away from that, would you? From just a few words, I pieced together the whole story and realized exactly who they were talking about. Among everyone I know, the only person whose looks could cause that big of a commotion is Lin Tingshan. But what's he doing here? I muttered an anxious apology and hurried towards the dormitory building. Lin Tingshan stood in the shadows, his broad shoulders and narrow waist combined with his over 6-foot frame creating an imposing presence. It seemed a few people had tried to approach him, but they were all intimidated by the aura surrounding him. Qiansu, hearing my footsteps, he turned around with a blossoming smile. You're here. I didn't know which department you were in, and Grandma wouldn't tell me. So I had to ask around, one by one, and wait for you here. Lin Tingshan's voice grew softer as he spoke, his expression seeming afraid that I would blame him. Lin Tingshan, what are you doing here? I cut him off impatiently, my tone sharp. If I remember correctly, we have nothing to do with each other anymore. Shouldn't you be at home with Zhou Ji? What are you doing here? A wave of intense displeasure washed over me. It was just like last time, after marrying me. Lin Tingshan was almost never home. He much preferred spending time with Zhou Ji, chatting and sharing stories with her. Now, in this new life, with someone else in the picture, he's become infatuated with me all over again. Is this just human nature, or is Lin Tingshan simply the type who can't be content with what he has and always wants more? The mere thought that I might have had feelings for such a scoundrel made my cheeks burn with embarrassment. It's not what you think. I was assigned a task in this area and just happened to drop by to see you. Qiansu, even if we're not engaged anymore, we still have our childhood bond. Don't be like this with me. I'm just here to deliver something from Grandma. Lin Tingshan produced the items he had purchased from behind his back, white rabbit milk candies, biscuits, and some pretty hair ties and clothes. In this day and age, these items are incredibly valuable. Grandma wouldn't have asked him to bring them along lightly. So I didn't reach out to take it. Instead, I studied the person before me with a serious gaze. He hadn't shaved, with dark circles under his eyes. Even his uniform was slightly rumpled. This wasn't the Lin Tingxian I knew, so he really did have a mission here, and he had rushed to see me in a hurry. Lin Tingxian, there is no affection between us. I've made myself perfectly clear. I also hope that you will not disturb my life from now on. I wish you and Zhou Ji a long and happy life together. Forever united in heart, that was his greatest wish in his past life. Thinking of it now, I feel little emotion. I have grander ambitions. The SARS outbreak in '01, and the pandemics that followed, are all waiting for me. Compared to matters of the heart, I believe I should instead apply the knowledge I once possessed to save more lives. Do you have to treat me this way, Qianzu? Lately, I've been having these dreams on and off. In them, you didn't go to university. Instead, you followed me into the cultural troupe. Later, we had our own children. You stayed home to care for the family, and I worked hard to provide for us. Every time I wake up, I can't shake the feeling that this is how our life was meant to be. Lin Tingxian's eyes grew slightly moist, but I was utterly horrified, because none of it was a dream for him. It was all real. It was the life I had actually lived. Lin Tingxian, since you had the dream, you should know, the version of you in that dream treated me terribly. Us getting married would only lead to a bad end, wouldn't it? I hit right where it hurt. Lin Tingxian's hand went limp, and the object he was holding fell to the floor with a clatter, rolling away. You had the dream too. You had it too, didn't you? That explains it. That's why you started giving me the cold shoulder for no reason. So that's how it is. I was wrong from the very beginning. He seemed utterly devastated. This man, who had always cared so much about his image since childhood, was now shedding tears of bitter regret. But that wasn't me. Qianzu, dreams are the opposite of reality. I love you deeply, and I will raise our child well. That wasn't me. Please, look at me. Just look at me. I am Lin Tingxian, not the bastard from your dream. Lin Tingxian gripped my shoulders tightly, his eyes pleading as he searched mine for any trace of affection. But there was nothing. My eyes were like a still pond, without a single ripple. You don't love me anymore. You really don't love me anymore. At that moment, Lin Tingxian was forced to face reality. He wept bitterly, his tears falling all over me, so scalding, so intense. If he had been like this in my past life, I would have been overjoyed. That was the love I had yearned for my entire life. If only things could be different. But one must always return to reality. Lin Tingxian is no exception. Go back. Be well with Zhou Ji. Consider this my repayment of a lifetime's worth of fate between you. I didn't speak that final thought aloud. As Lin Tingxian lowered his gaze in defeat, I won't be with her. Qianzu, I wish you peace. With those final words, Lin Tingxian left, trembling. It was like a gust of wind, here one moment, gone the next. The onlookers, who had been watching the drama, chattered as they dispersed. And my roommate pulled me into a tight hug. When Qianzu, snap out of it. It's all over now. Your future is still ahead of you. Even though they didn't quite catch what I said, they comforted me with the most genuine hearts. This is what I lacked in my past life, friends and sincerity. Okay, I hugged the person in front of me back, choosing not to overthink it. In this lifetime, whether Lin Tingxian ends up with Zhou Ji or not, there is no chance for him and me anymore. In the blink of an eye. For years had passed. I graduated from Tsinghua University and received the university's medal. My roommates gathered together, laughing and chatting just like we did when we first met. No one spoke of the sadness of parting. We all quietly slipped away by unspoken agreement, just as we had quietly arrived. I don't know who will be living in this dormitory next year, but I do know that the spirit of medicine will be passed on. That is what makes us human. It is also the powerful conviction of our nation. By 1990, after several years on the job, I had risen from a novice to the position of department head and was hailed as a master physician. Dr. When, we've received an urgent dispatch. A team has sustained severe injuries during a mission and requires your immediate assistance. The nurse anxiously produced the transfer order, while I calmly packed my medical kit and selected a few familiar assistants. For me now, emergency calls are routine. I don't feel afraid and handle everything with composure. Dr. When, the contact person is at the main gate. I overheard the nurses talking. They say he's an absolute stunner. My assistant whispered this to me from behind. I couldn't help but think how bold young people are these days, checking out handsome guys even when we're about to head out on a mission. But thinking back to how my college roommates used to swoon over guys, I couldn't help but shake my head. Over here, a low, magnetic voice called out, I stiffly lifted my head, seeing Lin Tingshan again after all these years. Clearly, he was just as surprised, frozen in place mid-motion. Qian, he instinctively started to call out my name. Without looking at him, I gave my assistant a gentle pat. Pick up the pace, the wounded are still waiting. I said this to remind my assistant, and also to remind Lin Tingshan. He didn't look at me again. But the atmosphere in the car was so tense that even my assistant didn't dare speak much, only daring to quietly complain to me. Dr. Wen, that police officer is way too intimidating. What's the use of being handsome when he's like a block of ice, a total deadpan face? Hearing that deadpan face comment, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Grandma also loved to go on about how Lin Tingshan had a deadpan face. Free from the hardships of the Lin family, I've kept Grandma by my side. And she's still in remarkably good health, although she nags me from time to time about finding a boyfriend. The old lady also often reminisces about the past. She thinks I'm unwilling to marry because Lin Tingshan hurt me too deeply. I never corrected her, and that misunderstanding has persisted all these years. Dr. Wen, you have such a lovely smile. The young assistant quickly shook off her fear and regained her usual energy. I tapped her head lightly. Acutely aware of the intense gaze fixed upon me, Lin Tingshan had been watching me the whole time. He seemed more mature, yet somehow unchanged. We're here. The vehicle rolled to a stop. I grabbed the medical kit and got out, not giving Lin Tingshan a chance to say a word. Where are the injured? This rescue mission was at an earthquake site. To put it simply, there wasn't a single spot left untouched by the devastation. Over here, Dr. Wen. A doctor has already given him preliminary treatment, but the patient has sustained a cardiac injury. We had no choice but to call for you. Someone was briefing me on the situation. I walked over quickly, and after a brief examination, I looked at Lin Tingshan. The patient is critical. The tube has pierced his heart. He can't be moved. We must operate immediately, but here, given the environment and other factors, I can't guarantee with absolute certainty that we can save him. As soon as I finished speaking, two soldiers beside me turned their furious, red-rimmed eyes toward Lin Tingshan. What happens if we don't operate? It was clear that Lin Tingshan was the one making the decision. I understood the bond between comrades all too well. Lowering my eyes in anguish, I said, if we don't operate, he won't make it through the night. The situation was even more critical than I had imagined. Lin Tingshan gave a firm nod. Then do it. I trust you. He was a man of few words. I instructed the people behind me to prepare for surgery. Fortunately, medical rescue was already on the scene before I arrived, and the conditions weren't too bad. Dr. Wen, I'm a little scared. Beads of cold sweat were forming on my assistant's forehead. I took out a change of clothes and told her to put them on. Don't be afraid, it's just a different environment. Just like in the hospital, you can do this. Even if you think you can't, you have to, because the person lying in there is one of our soldiers. Yes, amidst the unified chorus of affirmation, I picked up the scalpel and began the long, grueling operation. As time ticked by, second by second, the battle against death finally drew to a close. We did it. We actually did it. My assistant let out a triumphant cheer. Weakly, I slumped backward, my hands barely able to keep hold of the scalpel. Dr. Wen, just before I blacked out, I heard frantic shouts and the sound of boots rushing near my ears. When I woke again, Lin Tingshan was slumped by my hospital bed. As I stirred, his eyes opened. You're awake, I nodded, my throat feeling raw and scratchy. The doctor said you fainted from exhaustion after such a long surgery. Have some water first, then get some rest. He didn't know what to say, and an awkward silence settled over the tent. Brother Lin, there's been an aftershock to the east. People are still trapped underground. The rescue mission is urgent. Someone came to report. Lin Tingshan's handsome brow furrowed as he looked at me, then toward the door. Go on. I calmly let him leave. Lin Tingshan gave a quiet of acknowledgement, pulled the quilt up for me, and vanished into the night. When everything fell silent, I heard a mother's heart-wrenching cries, mingled with the wail of an infant and the murmured prayers of the elderly. In this land, countless others are still waiting for me to save them. When Shansu, you can't collapse, you must hold on, for the Hippocratic Oath, and for those crying children. Muttering this to myself over and over, I grabbed a bottle of glucose solution by my side and headed back into the rescue zone. The scene, having just endured an aftershock, was even more harrowing. Someone who recognized me called out anxiously, Dr. Wen, what are you doing out here? You're our top priority to protect. Go back and rest. It's all right. I turned down the chance to rest, rushing along the path of rescue. 1, 2, until I lost count. The ground suddenly shook. Before I, while checking on a patient, could even react. A wave of construction materials came hurtling toward me from the distance. When Qiansu, in the distance. I saw Lin Tingshan sprinting toward me. He was covered in scrapes and bruises. Yet he stubbornly kept running my way. I have no regrets. In this life, I can face death with peace, for I have fulfilled my purpose. The only regret was that SARS never arrived. Don't be afraid. As the tears fell on me once more, the patient and I were shoved aside, leaving Lin Tingshan pinned down alone. For a moment, I felt dazed, my head throbbing terribly. Brother Lin, help, someone, get help, quick. Everyone around me sprang into action, frantically trying to help. I slapped myself across the face, forcing myself to calm down. If anything happened to Lin Tingshan right now, he would need my help. I need to stay calm. My assistant brought me the medical kit, and I treated the wounded one by one until a familiar face was wheeled before me. My mind, which had ground to a halt, snapped back into focus. I began examining Lin Tingshan's wounds. A tube pierced through near his heart. His entire body was covered in wounds, large and small. A dense and horrifying map of injuries. The most severe was to his head, where a blow from a rock had left a ghastly, shocking wound. You have to save Brother Lin. Pairs of bloodshot eyes turned to me. I nodded and picked up my scalpel. Qiansu. While I was cleaning the wound, Lin Tingshan regained consciousness. He seemed to check that I was alright before passing out again. When the patient's vital signs are fading fast. In all my years in the operating room, this is the most critical and uncertain case I've ever faced. Lin Tingshan, please wake up. If you wake up, I'll forgive you, I promise. At that moment, I had to admit it. I couldn't save Lin Tingshan. Like everyone else praying in the hospital, I could only hope for a miracle. Lin Tingshan, you promised to marry me. Wake up, please wake up. The cries grew louder. Lin Tingshan blinked, and tears began to fall. He had woken up, but he hadn't truly come back. I heard him say, when Qiansu, you promised to marry me when we were kids. Why did you break your word? But maybe it's for the best. And also, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what happened in our past life. He remembered everything, yet there was nothing he could do to make it right. In the end, he could only pass from this world, carrying with him an eternity of regret. Lin Tingshan, get up, please, get up. I don't want your apologies. I don't want you to die by my hand. I wept my heart out, and no one came to disturb me. Everyone was still reeling from those words. In that moment, it was clear to all that the newly arrived When and Lin Tingshan shared a history, but Lin Tingshan was gone. After the earthquake, I received a medal while holding Lin Tingshan's ashes. Part of it was about him, and part of it was about me, but I had no mind to look at it. Instead, I quietly walked to a secluded spot, cradling the ashes. Lin Tingshan, do you remember, when you were young? You said you wanted to find a place with mountains and water when you got old. What do you think of this spot? I picked it out especially for you. Lin Tingshan, I forgive you. Do you hear me? I forgive you. You weren't wrong, and neither was I. The mistake was the 2 lifetimes that stood between us. So you are him, and he is you. So in our next life, when we meet again, don't be so difficult. Many people attended Lin Tingshan's funeral that day, including Zhou Ji. She was very calm. Back in the village, everyone said that with no parents, you weren't good enough for Tingshan. But once you leave those mountains, you realize you were the same kind of person, both selflessly dedicated, both serving the people. I admire you. Looking back now, I've long since surpassed Zhou Ji, that once unattainable figure standing outside the hospital ward, or perhaps, surpassing her was never the point. After the funeral, I resumed my journey of saving lives, this time. Grandma didn't press me about getting married, she said. My granddaughter is destined for great things. Just like that young man from the Lin family, you are all meant for great things. Grandma won't stand in your way. I only hope you can save more patients and heal more families. Qiansu, my only wish is that you take good care of yourself. I believe I will. I will live well, carrying the hopes of Lin Tingshan, and living for him too. Story 2. My husband died in a horrific car crash, his body lost to the ravine, all because he was on his way to buy strawberries for me. At the funeral, as I was utterly consumed by grief, a group of debt collectors stormed in. That was when I discovered, to my horror, that my husband had left behind millions in debt, racked with guilt. I tearfully agreed to assume the debts and vowed to honor my husband by caring for his parents. First, I donated a kidney to my mother-in-law who was battling cancer. Then, I sold my own house and car to help my husband pay off part of his debts. All this was to ensure my mother-in-law's happiness in her later years and to settle the remaining debts. I worked myself to the bone for over a decade, until I was completely spent. But as I lay on my deathbed, my husband, who should have been dead, Returned home with a beautiful woman. Only then did I learn that his death years ago had been a sham. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the day my husband died in the car accident. 1. Honey, just wait at home. You'll have the freshest strawberries this afternoon. That's how much I love you. What other husband would do this? Strawberries are so expensive right now. A lot of expectant mothers can't even afford to indulge. My husband, Chen Zicheng, had his back to me as he put on his shoes and spoke. At his words, I whipped my head around to look in the nearby mirror. The reflection staring back was healthy and youthful, a far cry from the woman worn down for over a decade by creditors, my mother-in-law Fang Qingying, and my sister-in-law Chen Zihan. I took several deep breaths, finally accepting the incredible truth. I had been reborn. In my past life, Chen Zicheng had used the same excuse of buying me strawberries. He'd laid on a thick layer of emotional blackmail, going on about how good he was to me and how much he loved me. Back then, I was naive and foolishly moved by it all. I never got to eat those strawberries in the afternoon. Instead, I received a call from the traffic police. It turned out Chen Zicheng had been in a car accident. His vehicle lost control, plummeted off a cliff, and exploded, leaving no remains. After a search, the police only managed to recover a single little finger. At the funeral, a lawyer walked in. It was only then I learned I was Chen Zicheng's sole heir. Thinking of how good he had always been to me, I was utterly heartbroken, almost wishing I could have followed Chen Zicheng to the grave. But before I could do anything, a swarm of lenders stormed in demanding payment, and the total sum they claimed was over 10 million. While I was still reeling, Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan pointed their fingers at me during the funeral, shouting that if I hadn't insisted on eating those strawberries, Chen Zicheng wouldn't have died. They made me out to be the guilty one. Consumed by guilt, I agreed to repay Chen Zicheng's debts and silently vowed to honor his filial duties in his stead, so I sold my premarital assets to pay off some of the debt, only for Fang Qingying to be diagnosed with kidney failure, leaving a transplant as her only chance of survival. Part 2. After testing, I turned out to be a match. Driven by a sense of atonement, I went under the knife again and donated a kidney. The days that followed felt like a living nightmare. Crushed by debt, I could barely breathe. Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan didn't work, expecting me to support them, and they would frequently berate or even hit me. The moment I failed to meet their demands, they would break down in tears and accuse me. You're the one who got Zicheng killed, and now you want to drive us to our graves too. More than a decade passed in this manner. The debts were nearly cleared, but I was utterly spent, my life force drained, and I was nearing my end. I wasn't afraid of death. Instead, a faint smile touched my lips. At least when I crossed over, I could face Chen Zicheng with a clear conscience. But before I could draw my last breath, I saw Chen Zicheng walk through the door, his arm around a beautiful woman. They were holding hands with a child of about 10, seeing me clinging to life. The woman frowned at Chen Zicheng. Didn't you say you were dying? Why drag me back here before you're even dead? What a jinx. Chen Zicheng looked at me impatiently, then turned to Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan. What's going on here? Fang Qingying snorted coldly. She probably thinks she's something special. I specifically called you back to make her realize how stupid she's been all these years. Crushing someone's spirit is so much fun. I moved my parched lips, but no words came out. I only felt a surge of blood rushing to my head before sinking into an abyss of darkness. I gathered my thoughts and smiled at Chen Zicheng. Yes, you're the best. Drive safely, and I'll be waiting for you at home. After seeing Chen Zicheng off, I immediately went downstairs and bought a lottery ticket for next week's draw at a shop not far away. The winning numbers for this lottery were a strange coincidence. They matched our wedding anniversary. I had just learned about the debt when the results were announced on TV, so the numbers were etched in my memory. Perhaps this is just fate at work. Holding the lottery results in my hand, I knew that in this life, I wouldn't just break free from Chen Zicheng and make the Chen family pay for their deeds in my past life. More importantly, I was going to live a brilliant life. 3. What happened next was the same as in my previous life. I retrieved Chen Zicheng's severed finger and held a funeral. But while last time I was heartbroken and wept inconsolably, this time, I couldn't shed a single tear. Once most of the relatives and friends had arrived, it was time for the show to begin. I just picked up a tissue soaked in medicated oil and dabbed my eyes, and the tears instantly welled up and overflowed. I wept and wailed as the tears streamed down. Zicheng, how am I supposed to go on now that you've left me like this? I'm filled with such regret. I knew you were rushing back to see your mother because of her kidney failure, and yet I still let you drive alone. I should have gone with you. My relatives all chimed in, urging me not to be too upset, but I shook my head. No, it's all my fault. When Mom called to tell us about the illness, I should have gone with you. I shouldn't have stayed away just because mom and my sister don't like me and are always criticizing me. The relatives exchanged uneasy glances, seemingly taken aback to learn what Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan were really like. What nonsense are you spouting? Chen Zihan's voice came from the doorway, and she wasn't alone. Fang Qingying was with her. Knowing that Chen Zicheng's death was staged, the two of them were particularly grief-stricken, coupled with Fang Qingying feeling unwell. They arrived late. To their surprise, the first thing they heard upon arrival was me slinging mud here. Fang Qingying tottered over to me. Zicheng got into that accident because he went to buy strawberries for you. Your gluttony got him killed, and you have the nerve to pin all the blame on me. If Zicheng knew about this in the afterlife, how heartbroken he would be. Chen Zihan snorted coldly. It's you, you're always bossing my brother around, making him buy this and that for no good reason. Strawberries are your favorite fruit. Right before the accident, he was on the phone with me, saying he was out buying fruit for you. I sobbed, looking utterly remorseful. Mom, if saying that makes you feel better, I can accept your version of events. My words were practically meaningless, and my pitiful demeanor only made everyone more suspicious. Chen Zihan stormed over and slapped me across the face. Stop playing the innocent victim. You're the one who got my brother killed. Stung by the slap, I shot to my feet, the picture of wounded dignity. What do you want from me? Zicheng fell off the cliff on the road to meet you. You keep insisting he went to buy strawberries. What strawberries are in season right now? Even if there were, you don't need to go up a mountain for them. Any supermarket would have them. I'm telling the truth. It's just that in my past life, I was so heartbroken that I couldn't think straight. I paused, then continued. Besides, you and mom never told me about her illness. If Zicheng didn't tell me, then who could have? I've already offered to take the blame for Zicheng's death for you. What more do you want? Do you need me to join him in death to be satisfied? As I spoke, I ignored everyone trying to hold me back, acting as if I was about to run into the wall. Zicheng, walk slowly on the road to the underworld. Wait for me. Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan certainly weren't about to let me run headfirst into a wall. After all, they were still counting on me to repay the money and, as a bonus, cover Fang Qingying's medical bills. The two of them were practically tearing their hair out with anxiety. In the end, Fang Qingying had no choice but to admit, yes, Zicheng got into the accident because he was coming to see me. The responsibility lies with me. Chen Zihan also said through gritted teeth, yes, it was our fault. All the relatives were pointing fingers and whispering about Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan, who didn't even dare to lift their heads. Only then did I finally settle down. Emotional blackmail. As if I don't know how to play that game. The funeral was only halfway through when a lawyer in a suit appeared, holding some documents and asking, excuse me, who is Qin Rulan? 5. Before I could even speak, Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan shouted loudly, over here, Qin Rulan is over here. They just couldn't wait, could they? After confirming my identity, the lawyer promptly produced Chen Zicheng's will. According to Mr. Chen Zicheng's will, all the deposits under his name are bequeathed to you. I looked down at the will in my hands. This paltry sum was downright embarrassing. My own premarital assets were far greater. I glanced toward the doorway, where a number of debt collectors had already gathered, waiting for me to sign so they could come after me for money. Fang Qingying grew impatient. Rulan, hurry up and sign. Once it's done, Zicheng can rest in peace. Chen Zihan nodded in eager agreement. Yes, once you've signed, we can proceed with the funeral. I shook my head. I can't accept it. Zicheng's biggest concern before he passed was surely mom and his sister. I'm willing to renounce my claim to his estate so it can be used for mom's medical treatment. Before Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan could voice their objections, I continued, besides, when Zicheng was alive, almost all of his income went to supporting mom and his sister. I'm certain that if he were here now, he would want everything to go towards mom's care. The relatives couldn't help but give me a thumbs up. Feeling a bit self-conscious, I signed the documents to formally renounce my inheritance rights. That's how the law works. Since Chen Zicheng's debts weren't incurred for family expenses and I had no knowledge of them, by giving up the inheritance, I naturally wouldn't be liable for his debts. According to inheritance law, with me out of the picture, the next in line to inherit were Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan. Predictably, they started politely refusing, neither willing to accept it, but the creditors couldn't wait any longer. Without even waiting for the two to sign, they barged right in. Chen Zicheng owes so much money, you two are going to pay me back. 6. The two of them were completely surrounded by the creditors. Fang Qingying immediately pointed at me. Make her pay it back. She has money, and a house. She's Chen Zicheng's wife. Looking utterly bewildered, I grabbed the lawyer's arm and asked, I've renounced the inheritance. Do I still have to pay off the debts? The lawyer shook his head. No, you don't, I sighed. Mom, sis, was the reason you just had me sign those inheritance papers because you already knew about this debt? I thought you were being kind, but it turns out you're just. I didn't finish my sentence, but everyone already knew what I was going to say. Chen Zihan pushed the creditor aside and said to me haughtily, this was a joint debt to begin with, so of course you have to pay it back. Besides, my brother was. Chen Zihan trailed off. The line she was supposed to deliver was, besides, my brother Chen Zicheng died because of you, but after all the commotion I'd just caused, the cause of Chen Zicheng's death had long since changed to something else. The lawyer spoke up at the right moment. For a debt to be considered joint, it requires both signatures and must be for shared expenses. Looking at these IOUs, none of them have Ms. Chen's name on them. Chen Zihan looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. She threw herself at my feet, clutching my pant leg and sobbing, sis, Mom and I can't possibly come up with that much money to pay off the debt. Don't you have a house? Why don't you sell yours and pay off at least part of it first? The sheer audacity. I looked at her, puzzled. Little sister, don't you and Mom live in a house too? It's probably worth more than mine. Why not sell your own place? Fang Qingying hadn't heard clearly, only catching the part about selling her house. She immediately shrieked, don't you dare sell my house. Where would I live if you did? Do you expect me to end up on the streets? 7. No matter what the two of them said, the creditor remained completely unmoved. Simply staring them down and demanding payment, they tried to copy me, talking about renouncing their inheritance rights. We don't want the inheritance, we're just like Qin Rulan. That's right, we had no knowledge of our brother's loans, we have no obligation to repay them. Unfortunately, it was useless. While making the funeral arrangements, I investigated and found out that many of Chen Zicheng's loans were guaranteed by Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan. In fact, they even took a significant cut from those loans. That's why, in my past life, they were so desperate to fake their deaths and emotionally blackmail me into repaying the debt, because if I don't repay the debt, they'll be the ones who have to. The Chen family played me for a fool, they sold me out. And I was still counting the money for them. Hearing their claims of ignorance, the creditors immediately produced screenshots and transaction records of Chen Zicheng's transfers to Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan. Their faces turned ashen. How could you possibly have gotten this evidence so quickly? Going through the proper channels would take forever. But if I were to help them, it'd be done in a heartbeat. I stood to the side, dabbing my eyes which were swollen from the medicated oil. Mom. Sis, how could you just let Zicheng take out those loans? I can't help you now. You'll have to pay that money back yourselves. A voice rang out from the crowd. Qin Rulan, you're truly vicious. No wonder Zicheng would rather keep a mistress and have a love child on the side than stay with you. Everyone turned to look, but they couldn't find the person who had spoken. What? Zicheng betrayed me. I couldn't handle the shock. My eyes rolled back, and I fainted on the spot. 8. By the time I came to, everything was already settled, with me, the idiot scapegoat, out of the picture. Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan were forced to sign and acknowledge the debts. They even considered asking relatives to persuade me, but after that comment about keeping a mistress at the funeral, everyone agreed it was best for me to stay out of this family's affairs. So not only did no one come to my defense, they even started piling on. A few days later, while I was tidying up at home, Chen Zihan knocked on my door. I didn't exactly give her a warm welcome, considering how viciously she had emotionally blackmailed me in my past life. Just like before, Chen Zihan walked right in, didn't even bother to take off her shoes, and plopped down on the sofa. You know Mom has kidney failure, she said. We've been kicked out. She's in the hospital now, and I have nowhere to go. I'm planning to stay here. I grunted in acknowledgement. Fine, anyway, I've already sold this place. The new owner will be here in a few days, and I have no idea if they'll let you stay. My timid demeanor must have made Chen Zihan think I'd reverted to being her old doormat. She snorted coldly. That's more like it. Let me tell you, Mom's kidney failure was already bad, and the stress of the funeral made it worse. You're a blood type match. If you have any conscience left, you should go get tested as a potential donor for her. I just started laughing. Chen Zihan looked at me, confused. What's so funny? I'm laughing at how naive you are. Your brother is having an affair, and you and your mother have made my life a living hell. What on earth makes you think I'd be willing to help you? Chen Zihan stared at me as if she'd seen a ghost. You're twisting the facts. I put a finger to my lips. Stop talking nonsense. It's perfectly clear who's twisting the facts, whether your brother went to buy strawberries for me, or went up that mountain with the sole intention of falling to his death. I believe you and your mother know the truth. 9. Chen Zihan had no idea how to argue back, and she certainly didn't dare to offend me lightly. After all, she was still counting on me to have a change of heart and help them repay their debts. Even if I didn't pay up, she could just camp out at my place and have me wait on her hand and foot for everything. As for whether to donate a kidney to Fang Qingying, someone as selfish as her couldn't care less. Having figured all this out, she shot me a dirty look and went straight into the guest room. Once Chen Zihan was in the guest room, I stopped tidying up. The lottery results were out, and I was now a multimillionaire. I didn't need these little things anymore. I grabbed my bag, turned around, and walked out of the house. I blocked both Chen Zihan and Fang Qingying on everything. They didn't dare to make too big a scene. Terrified that someone might uncover the truth about Chen Zicheng's faked death, I cashed in the prize, bought a luxury villa, and moved right in. I was determined to make up for all the suffering from my past life, and I started living the high life in style. Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan, however, weren't so fortunate. According to the private investigator I hired, Fang Qingying's condition deteriorated rapidly. She's now in a coma, but with no money and Chen Zihan refusing to check her out. She's just lying there, wasting away in a hospital corridor. Chen Zihan was also evicted by the new landlord of my old house. She made a huge scene, nearly ending up at the police station. After a phone call filled with accusations and sobs, she finally left, seething with resentment. But I knew this was just the beginning. Even more troublesome matters were waiting for me down the line, as if in direct response to my thoughts. The housekeeper ushered in 3 visitors first thing that morning. It was Chen Zihan, a man dressed like a lawyer, and standing beside them, Chen Zicheng, back from the dead. A faint smile touched my lips. Chen Zicheng, you've finally shown up. All that effort I put into flaunting my wealth wasn't in vain. 10. The moment Chen Zicheng laid eyes on me, he dropped to his knees. He clung desperately to my leg, sobbing uncontrollably, a mess of tears and snot. I steadied my own voice and asked, Zicheng, but aren't you supposed to be dead? Chen Zicheng wiped his nose haphazardly on my silk dress. I'm sorry, honey, I was out of my mind to fake my own death. I regretted it almost immediately. I missed you so much. I had to come back. After saying that, Chen Zicheng tugged at Chen Zihan's skirt. She had been staring at the villa since she arrived and was jolted back to reality by the tug. Sis, my brother really does love you. Mom and I adore you too. Please, come back home. Besides, you're living in such a nice place now. Paying off my brother's debts must be a breeze for you, right? I nodded. Absolutely. A debt of 10 million is nothing to me now. Funny how things work out, isn't it? They say a man's fortune rises with a promotion, wealth, and a dead wife. Well, I got the dead husband and the wealth instead. All the good luck seems to have landed in my lap, but I won't be paying it back for you, because we have no legal relationship anymore. Upon hearing this, Chen Zicheng quickly stood up. Lawyer Liu, please explain it to my wife. Lawyer Liu cleared his throat. That's not correct, Ms. Qin. According to Article 51 of the Civil Code, the marriage of a person declared deceased is dissolved from the date the declaration takes effect. If the declaration of death is revoked, the marriage is automatically restored from the date of revocation. Therefore, Mr. Chen Zicheng's marriage to you has now been reinstated. I gasped in shock, my hand flying to my mouth. Chen Zicheng and Chen Zihan were absolutely delighted to see me squirm, but their faces fell the moment I spoke my next line. 11. Zicheng, it was only after you died that I discovered our supposedly perfect marriage was actually full of deceit and infidelity. That's why, after you were gone, I chose to remarry. I smiled. After all, the best way to get over one relationship is to start a new one. With a dark expression, Chen Zicheng shook his head and said, I don't believe it, you're definitely lying to me. I waved my hand, signaling the nanny to fetch my husband, Huang Yunan. He was already waiting at the top of the stairs with our marriage certificate in hand. Before the nanny could even go up, he descended with long, purposeful strides. He presented the marriage certificate to Chen Zicheng like a prized treasure, then cheerfully shook his hand. Brother Cheng, it's truly a miracle that someone can come back from the dead. What a shame, though. Rulin and I are already married, so your previous marriage is null and void. Lawyer Liu nodded awkwardly. That's correct. If one party remarries, the previous marriage is legally terminated. Chen Zicheng and Chen Zihan were stunned. They had assumed that once they returned, a little begging on their part would soften my heart, and I'd obediently return the money, even if I didn't repay it. As long as the marriage continued, they could still lord it over me and act like tyrants in my own home, but they never could have imagined that I would get remarried so quickly. Chen Zicheng said in a snide, sarcastic tone, I loved you so much. I gave you everything you wanted. How could you get married again before my body is even cold, before I could even speak? Huang Yunan looked as if he'd seen a ghost. What? Are you a ghost? Chen Ziqiang was at a loss for words, but Chen Zihan gritted her teeth and spat out, you slut. You must have been cheating on him long ago to move on so seamlessly. She shot Huang Yunan an ingratiating look, smoothed her hair, and said, handsome, she's tricked you, she's only after your money, you should divorce her right away. 12. Huang Yunan waved his hand dismissively. You've got it wrong, this house isn't mine. It's Rulan's. What? How is that even possible? Chen Ziqiang and Chen Zihan exclaimed in unison, seeing their stunned expressions. I couldn't help but let out a chuckle. That's right, after you died, I won the lottery. That's where the money came from, I sighed. It's just fate, I guess. If you hadn't made that foolish decision to fake your death, this life could have been yours. I could have easily paid off all your debts. I pointed to the Land Rover parked in the driveway. I remember you used to say this was every man's dream car. You could have been living that dream. If you could see Chen Ziqiang and Chen Zihan's guts right now, they'd undoubtedly be green with envy, realizing he couldn't gain any advantage from me through legal means. Chen Ziqiang's eyes darted around. Darling, he said, I know my sins are grave and I don't deserve your forgiveness. But we've known each other for 10 years and been married for 3. There must still be some affection between us. I'm not asking you to pay my debts. I'm just begging you to save my mother. After all, my mother is your mother too. The woman you've called mom for 3 years is on her deathbed. How can you be so heartless? I nodded. Quite heartless, actually. I've never forgotten what your mother told me. Don't think marrying into this family makes you a real Chen. Don't you dare act up around here. I'm not your birth mother, and I have no reason to indulge you. Chen Ziqiang and Chen Zihan were about to say more, but I shushed them. Honestly, if you really want to be filial, you'd be better off spending more time caring for your dying mother right now, or hurry up and get tested for compatibility. Organ donations between relatives have a much higher success rate, you know. With that, I just smiled and had the housekeeper show them out. 13. As the 3 of them stepped outside, Huang Yunan gave me a thumbs up. Rulan, how did you know Chen Ziqiang would definitely come back for you? Huang Yunan's demeanor was nothing like before. She had now settled onto the sofa with a languid, almost coquettish air. I slipped off my dress, leaving just my slip-on, and squeezed onto the sofa next to Huang Yunan. I know Chen Ziqiang too well, I said, whether it was Chen Zihan dying or Fang Qingying dying. He was never going to come back for that. He'd absolutely choose to take the money and fly off into the sunset with his mistress, but if he did that, he could never make up for the hurt he caused me. So, I deliberately spread the word that I'd come into money and kept my marriage a secret. I was just waiting for him to walk right into the trap. Huang Yunan leaned her head on my shoulder. Oh my god, Rulan, you're amazing. If I didn't have a boyfriend, I'd totally marry you. I rolled my eyes. Huang Yunan is both my classmate and neighbor. We've always been incredibly close, especially since we even share the same sexual orientation, but that's precisely why he agreed without hesitation when I proposed we get married. I was already well aware of the law that lawyer Lu mentioned. If I don't cut Chen Ziqiang out of my life for good, he'll remain a ticking time bomb hanging over my head, and I'll never have a moment's peace. Huang Yunan snatched the grapes from my hand. Wait. That doesn't sound right. What if Chen Ziqiang runs off again? I gestured toward my phone with my chin. Don't worry. I've notified every single one of his creditors. At that thought, I smiled. Not only that, I even found someone to give him advice on how to make money. Huang Yunan shook his head. Rulan, you're terrifying. I don't dare divorce you anymore. I'm afraid you'd ruin me. It's true. I've been clever since I was a child, and I never forget a slight. It was only in my past life, blinded and deafened by love, that I let those 3 ungrateful wretches lead me around by the nose. 14. On the advice of a well-meaning person, Chen Ziqiang didn't disappear again. Instead, he and Chen Zihan gathered their many creditors for a meeting. I don't know the specifics of what was said or done. All I know is that 2 people went in, but only one came out. Chen Zihan vanished without a trace. In my previous life, after Chen Ziqiang went missing, Chen Zihan nearly worked me to death. After I donated a kidney to Fang Qingying, when I was at my most vulnerable, she not only neglected me completely but also demanded I do her laundry and cooking. On top of that, I had to cater to the whims of the fussy and demanding Fang Qingying in the middle of the night. I suffered multiple infections and nearly died. After I recovered, Chen Zihan knew full well how much debt our family was in, yet she still demanded that I buy her expensive cosmetics and luxury goods. It's not that I didn't resist or refuse, but every time I did, she would immediately resort to hitting me. I was physically weak and was no match for her. She even said I deserved all of this, and that if it weren't for me, Chen Zichang would have bought those things for her. When I tried to get out of it by saying I had no money, Chen Zihan even suggested I go out and sell my body. You're good looking and young anyway, make some money while you can, Mom and I are counting on your money to get by. My hatred for Chen Zichang pales in comparison to what I feel for Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan. After all, his disappearance was sudden. The ones who truly tormented and hurt me have always been Fang Qingying and Chen Zihan, but as for Fang Qingying, without the kidney I donated, she's already on her last legs. I don't even need to lift a finger, so now, using Chen Zihan's own schemes against her, I have to say, it feels rather fitting. However, dealing with just Chen Zihan clearly won't buy Chen Zichang much breathing room. Soon enough, the well-meaning person offered Chen Zichang another idea. 15. Just a few days later, I received an invitation from Chen Zichang. I certainly didn't want to go, but the message he left me was, "If you don't come, I'll ruin your reputation." It was out of fear that I finally went to meet him. Chen Zichang had arranged to meet me outdoors. The place was desolate, with nothing but a few shrubs around and hardly anyone in sight. He insisted I throw my bag far away and place my phone on a table. Only after he was satisfied that I had no recording devices on my person or in my shoes did he finally sit down. I frowned, looking at Chen Zichang with disdain. "What do you want with me?" Chen Zichang didn't say a word. Instead, he simply handed me some evidence and call recordings. My confusion turned to a look of growing dismay. Chen Zichang seemed to take great pleasure in this and couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Did you really think I was that stupid, that I couldn't come up with any plan? These so-called pieces of evidence are supposed to prove that I was fully aware of Chen Zichang's debt situation, including his faked death. They even suggest that my lottery ticket was purchased by him." I was trembling with rage. "These are all lies. I had no idea. Those recordings and chat logs aren't mine at all." Chen Zichang nodded. "Right, they're fake. The audio is AI generated, but if I post all this online and put my dying mother on a live stream, everyone will believe me, not you. After all, who would choose to believe a fickle woman who remarried before her husband was even dead? Once everyone believes me, I'll take you to court." With this whole mess being so public and your actions looking so suspicious, the worst the court will do is order you to split the debt and your lottery winnings with me. By then, you'll be broke, your reputation will be in tatters, and that handsome husband of yours will definitely divorce you. 16. I made a conscious effort to steady my emotions. "So, what do you want?" Seeing that I had taken the bait, Chen Zichang continued. 20 million. 10 million to pay off my debts, and the other 10 to live on. Listen, don't be so quick to say no. What I'm asking for isn't even that much. And if you had just given me the money in the first place, my sister never would have. And then what? I pressed him. Chen Zichang didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, "How do you think a woman makes money the fastest? But then, it's what she ought to do. As my sister, she should pay that price." I seemed stunned by him and fell silent for a moment. "I can give you the money, but it's all tied up in the bank. I can't get that much out right away. I can only give you 1 million for now." Chen Zichang hadn't expected it to be this easy. His tone became almost giddy. "You have to give me the rest within a month." I nodded in agreement but insisted he delete the evidence right in front of me. Chen Zichang scoffed. "What an idiot. How can I delete anything before I get the money? Pay up, and I'll take care of it." Still, I wasn't convinced. Seeing my hesitation, Chen Zichang took the initiative and drafted an agreement for me. He promised to delete everything and never contact me again once he received the payment. Holding the agreement, I finally felt at ease and transferred 1 million to Chen Zichang on the spot. After Chen Zichang left with the money, a man in a green ghillie suit crawled out from the bushes, grumbling. He took off the suit and handed me the action camera from his phone. "Rulin, I did all this for you. Now you owe me a proper shopping trip." I nodded and blew him a kiss. "But first, we need to go to the police station to file a report." 17. Playing the part of a woman who'd just been blackmailed, I went completely limp, practically draping myself over Huang Yunan. He then made a dramatic plea to the officers, begging them to see that justice was served for me. He had a silver tongue and laid out the whole story clearly and concisely. I knew Chen Zichang was up to no good. So I followed my wife. As luck would have it, I managed to capture the entire blackmail attempt on video. The evidence was irrefutable, and the sum involved was staggering. The police immediately froze Chen Zichang's bank account used for receiving the funds and swiftly took him into custody. When the police arrested him, he looked utterly bewildered. "I haven't broken any law," he protested. "I just owe some money. I'm just a deadbeat debtor, that's all." It wasn't until he was at the police station that he realized I was the one who had reported him. His anger flared. "You went back on your word. How could you set me up like this? This isn't extortion. She was my wife. Her money was mine." Huang Yunan spoke up at just the right moment. "Officer, he was already dead. I married my wife after he passed away. Their marriage was null and void long ago." The police wanted me to say something too, but I suddenly started screaming like a madwoman. "Don't sell me. I don't want the money anymore. He's going to sell me to Africa to be a. I couldn't finish the sentence. The officers, however, smelled a major case. After their repeated attempts to calm me down, I reluctantly revealed that Chen Zihan had already been sold to Africa. "I didn't know originally," I said, but today he was being so evasive, I got scared. I hired a private investigator to look into it. And this is what they found, sobbing. I threw myself into Huang Yunan's arms. Chen Ziqiang gritted his teeth, utterly powerless. "I did a rough calculation. The extortion amount is huge, and the circumstances are particularly vile. He'll get at least 5 years for that. As for human trafficking, that's a whole different ball game, probably a decade or more." 18. With so many cases piling up and evidence taking time to investigate, Fang Qingying never got to see Chen Ziqiang sentenced. She died alone and desolate in her rented room. They say it was only discovered because the smell got so bad, and the neighbor's dog wouldn't stop barking day and night. In the end, no one came to claim her body, so, this good Samaritan that I am, I sent her off to the crematorium. I brought her ashes home, then promptly dumped the whole lot down the drain and flushed them away. A piece of shit belongs with other shit. Over the past 6 months, the police collaborated with international law enforcement in an attempt to rescue Chen Zihan and the mistress. The mistress was rescued and brought back to the country, heavily pregnant and with a vacant stare. Rumor has it she was riddled with illnesses, and the paternity of the child was unknown, but at least she was alive. Chen Zihan wasn't so fortunate. It's said that not long after going abroad, her excessively volatile temper led to her being tortured to death. One wonders if, in her final moments, she cursed the brother she loved so much. Chen Ziqiang was sentenced half a year later, but the situation was more severe than I had imagined. Not only had he disposed of Chen Zihan, but he had also gotten rid of his mistress on the side. Consequently, with multiple charges combined, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Given his handsome, fair, and good-looking appearance, it goes without saying that life behind bars won't be easy for him, and that's without even mentioning how heinous his crimes were. 19. 2 more years passed. Having finally gotten my revenge and living in such blissful contentment, I decided, out of a strange sense of charity, to pay Chen Ziqiang a visit. It had only been 2 years. But Chen Ziqiang looked even more haggard and aged than he had over a decade into his previous life. He was emaciated, his face a mess of cuts and bruises. His wrists were covered in scars, most of which looked like bite marks, and a chunk of his ear was missing. Life clearly hadn't been kind to him. Chen Ziqiang stared at me with utter despair in his eyes. "What are you doing here? Come to gloat." I shook my head. "I came to tell you that your mother died at home. I went to collect her remains. But, I accidentally dropped the urn. The ashes went straight down the toilet." Chen Ziqiang showed no reaction. "Oh, I see," he said. I gave a hum of acknowledgement. "Then let me tell you something you don't know. For instance, the person who gave you the idea, who encouraged you to do these wrong things, do you know who that is?" Only then did Chen Ziqiang react, his gaze sharp as he looked at me. "How do you know someone gave me advice? Was it you? It was you all along, wasn't it?" I smiled but didn't answer. Instead, I gave him a wink. The meaning was clear. "You got it." He couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. "Do you think you're living a happy life? Let me tell you, I found out long ago that your husband is a goddamn homosexual. He's only after your money. Sooner or later, he'll abandon you and leave you riddled with disease." I gave the same answer as Chen Ziqiang. "I know. Our marriage was a sham from the start. I only married him because I knew you weren't dead. I did it specifically for you. As for the money, you really don't need to worry. We signed a prenuptial agreement." Upon hearing this, Chen Ziqiang coughed up another mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. This was something Fang Qingying taught me. Destroying someone's spirit is even more effective than killing them. It really works, and damn, it feels good. The end. That's all for this first story. Don't go away, the next one is even more exciting. I was live streaming an antique appraisal show when I connected with an outdoor fishing streamer. He pulled a pearl from the fish's belly and asked me if it was valuable. I was utterly horrified. "That's a corpse-suppressing pearl. Throw it back into the water." Now, the livestream chat was calling me greedy, but they didn't understand. It takes 10,000 corpses to form a single pearl. without this pearl to hold them back. The tens of thousands of floating corpses in the water will come ashore tonight. 1. My name is Moronyu. I'm an archaeology student at Jing University, and I'm also a pretty well-known live-streaming influencer. In my spare time, I do live streams where I appraise antiques and collectibles to earn a bit of extra cash. One day, as I was starting my stream as usual, an excited face suddenly popped right up in front of the camera. Hey streamer, check this out. What do you think I've got here? I was startled. The person on the other end moved back from the camera, and I finally got a clear look. It was a middle-aged man with a scruffy beard. His skin was dark, his nose bridge was high, and he was holding a bright green bead between his fingers. Take a look. Is this made of jade? The man wore a smile, and the gleam in his eyes was almost brighter than the jade bead in his hand. The comment section immediately lit up. Oh, isn't that my man Xingji? Yeah, wasn't Xingji out fishing? What's he doing here on an antique appraisal show? Haha, you guys know Xingji too. I just came from his livestream. He hit the jackpot. He caught a fish with a jade bead in its belly, and the quality looks top-notch. Wow, talk about luck. Turns out the man across from him was Li Dasheng, a well-known outdoor streamer. He's passionate about wild fishing, and every time he's at a fishing spot, he'll analyze factors like weather and water conditions with fellow anglers. Brother Xing's theoretical knowledge is top-notch, but his luck is terrible. Everyone says he goes through all the motions like a pro, only to catch a fish no bigger than a couple of ounces. To date, his most impressive catch was spending 4 hours to reel in 3 tiny minnows. Even when people poke fun at him, he never gets discouraged. He always has a smile on his face, and his livestream consistently draws a large audience. No wonder Brother Xing never caught any fish before. All his good luck was being saved up for this. This bead, it's imperial green ice jade, gotta be worth at least 100 grand. Don't talk nonsense. The one upstairs was talking about is tiny. This one's the size of a pigeon's egg. You could cut it into 2 ring faces. This has to be worth millions, minimum. 2. Watching the chat scroll by, Brother Xing squinted his eyes, scratched his head, and grinned from ear to ear. Haha, no, not at all. As for the specific price, I'll have to ask host Moron to take a look and give me an estimate. Brother Xing placed the jadeite bead in his palm and held it up to the camera. The outdoor sunlight was excellent. The emerald green jadeite bead had an oily sheen on its surface. Upon closer inspection, the interior of the bead contained extremely fine particles. However, its internal structure was remarkably dense, and the base material was very clean. Put a little water in your palm and place the bead in it so I can see. Brother Xing obediently scooped a handful of water into his palm. As soon as the emerald green bead entered the water, it became like transparent jelly, nearly invisible save for that streak of green. I couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Incredible. The old-timers used to describe glass-grade jadeite just like that. Toss a piece into a basin of clear water and you'd lose sight of it. However, color can affect transparency. The hue in jadeite blocks light. Your piece is a rare, fluorescent emerald green. This isn't just ordinary ice-grade full green, it's approaching glass-grade. It's worth a fortune. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, really? So streamer, how much is this worth? Brother Xing couldn't hold back his roaring laughter. And the viewers watching the live stream were absolutely green with envy. I'm a jade dealer, Brother Xing. I'll take this bead. My final offer is 880,000. Who are you trying to scam with that price? Brother Xing, I'll double it. 1.68 million. That's sincere enough, right? Give me your address. I'll come find you right now. When the jeweler started bidding up the price for the pearls, Brother Xing couldn't wipe the grin off his face. I watched with envy for a moment. But then a sudden sense of unease washed over me. A faint, hair-thin white filament flashed within the heart of the pearl. My eyes widened in shock. Countless, extremely fine white filaments were wriggling within the bead, as if they were alive. A bead of solid green, with moving white threads. A legend flashed through my mind, and my face instantly turned pale. 3. Wait, Brother Xing, where did you catch that fish? Beaming with pride, Brother Xing held the pearl up to the camera to show it off. Hearing my question, he took a few steps back so I could see the whole background. I'm at Fuxian Lake. Why, little Morong, you wanna come try your luck here too? Ha 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 ha. Fuxian Lake is Yunnan's deepest lake, with an average depth of 90 meters and spots over 150 meters deep. Locally, it has another, more chilling nickname, the Millennium Corpse Repository. The water of Fuxian Lake is exceptionally clear, while it appears shallow at the surface. The terrain at its edges drops off dramatically, and drownings are common among swimmers. While recovering a body, someone discovered an ancient city at the bottom of the lake. Later, A team organized by China Central Television conducted 3 underwater investigations. Although the underwater footage was not made public, they confirmed the discovery of extensive ancient architectural walls beneath the surface. The local folklore is even more bizarre. It's said that a large number of standing corpses are on the lakebed, male bodies leaning forward and female bodies leaning backward, swaying with the underwater currents, which is utterly terrifying. If it were anywhere else, I might have thought I was seeing things. If the bead is in Fuxian Lake, then the legend is almost certainly true. I let out a sigh. Brother Xing, listen to me. This isn't a jadeite bead. It's a living corpse celestial bead. It's an incredibly rare artifact. It takes 10,000 corpses to form one. When bodies are trapped together, one among them absorbs the corpse miasma and resentment from all the others, eventually giving birth to this bead. Only with it here can it absorb and suppress the endless flow of corpse energy. If the pearl is removed for even 12 hours, all those corpses at the bottom of the water will reanimate and come ashore. It'll be a complete disaster. Hurry up and throw the pearl back down, huh? The corpse-suppressing heavenly pearl, that sounds terrifying. Brother Xing, throw it back, quick. Yeah, I've seen Norong's past live streams. She's the real deal. You should listen to her. Throw it back now. My veteran fans all urged Brother Xing to throw the pearl back immediately. The smile instantly froze on Brother Xing's face. What the heck? You hear someone quote 1.68 million, and you tell them to throw the pearl in the lake. Are you just jealous, streamer? Yeah. That's so ridiculous. Living corpses. What nonsense. You guys upstairs don't get it. I'm a local. We really do have legends about floating corpses in Fuxian Lake. Seriously, can you imagine this scene with thousands of corpses climbing up? Just thinking about it terrifies me. Money is nothing compared to your life. Are you kidding me? You call 1.68 million nothing. Could you even earn $1 million in your entire lifetime? The barrage of comments erupted into an argument. Brother Xing looked embarrassed, fiddling with the bead in his hand as his gaze darted around. Little sister Morong, you say this is a corpse walker celestial bead. Do you have any other proof? You can't expect me to just throw 1.68 million down the drain based on a single sentence. My face was deadly serious. Do you know why this is called the corpse bringer pearl? It's alive, but anything it touches turns into a corpse. That fish you caught, wasn't it dead? This. Brother Xing's pupils contracted, and someone in the live chat immediately responded, that's right, I saw the live stream just now. It was definitely a dead fish. Its eyes were rolled back, and half of its gills were rotten. A dead fish hooked perfectly in the mouth. Reel in and get out. That's the rule in your fishing world, right? Every angler knows that a perfect mouth hook means the hook is set right in the center of the fish's upper jaw. If you catch a dead fish, and it's hooked perfectly like that, it means something down there actively hooked the fish for you. It's a bad omen. You need to leave that spot immediately, or something bad will happen. Fine, I won't fish with it then. But that doesn't prove anything, does it? Brother Xing was clearly reluctant to give up the bead. I kept my patience and pressed on. Brother Xing, anything touched by the corpse spawn heavenly bead turns into a corpse. It's not just the fish. If you keep holding it, you won't live to see tomorrow. Look at your palm. Isn't the skin already turning pale and wrinkled? Once the hour of Z passes tonight, you'll be no different from those bloated corpses at the bottom of the water. 5. Brother Xing glanced down at his palm and was startled, but he quickly composed himself again. My hand's been soaking in water this whole time. Isn't it normal for it to get all pruny? Exactly, Brother Xing. Don't even give her the time of day. That streamer's just jealous. Can't stand to see others make money. Look, I'll cut to the chase. A flat offer of 2 million. You're at Fuxian Lake, right? I can fly there in an hour. Wait for me. Brother Xing didn't say a word, but judging by his expression, he was clearly and utterly captivated. I started to panic. You really can't take this bead, Brother Xing. My signal's bad. What did you say? The video is really choppy. The next second, Brother Xing actually cut the live stream. I tried calling back, but no one picked up. I was so pissed I couldn't help but let out a string of curses. We're screwed, Chamloyu. Something terrible has happened. Chamloyu is my friend, and she's also the sole living heir to the Earthmaster lineage. The term Earthmaster originally referred broadly to feng shui practitioners in ancient times, but later came to specifically denote masters who could read the stars for geomancy. Chamloyu is an expert in astrological divination for locating sites, and she can also exorcise spirits and capture demons. She's the most formidable person I've ever met. At that moment, she was sitting in the courtyard, watching eagerly as my grandfather brought out a huge pot of lamb spine hot pot. Hee hee, Sect Master Chiao. This meat has been stewing for 2 hours, smells amazing, doesn't it? Chamliu sniffed the air and rubbed her hands together in excitement. It smells absolutely divine. Seeing me rush out of the room with a frantic look on my face, Chamliu's expression changed dramatically. What are you doing? Nothing is going to stop me from eating this lamb spine hot pot. Stop eating. The corpse pearl. There are tens of thousands of floating corpses. We need to book flights to Yunnan immediately. 6. I grabbed Chamliu's arm, and Grandpa immediately slapped my hand away. What's the rush, you crazy girl? You're always so frantic and loud. What living corpse, heavenly pearl? While explaining what had just happened, I looked down and opened my phone to book a flight. The next available plane was in an hour and a half. If we hurried, we could just make it. I was just buying the tickets when Grandpa suddenly burst out laughing. Ghosts, living corpse, heavenly pearl. Ha 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 ha. That was all made up by your great-grandfather to fool people. And you're a college student. How can you believe everything you hear? He kept laughing as he patted Chamliu on the shoulder. Isn't my silly girl hilarious? Ha 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 ha. Sect Master Chow. Why aren't you laughing? Chamliu's face darkened. Guess what, Grandpa? Are you just not a cheerful person by nature? Chamliu let out a few forced ha chuckles, walked over, picked up the pot of lamb spine hot pot, her face full of anxiety. Hurry up and go. What are you waiting for? Jiang Haoyan is parking in the lot right now. Move quickly, and grab your IDs. Chamliu didn't mind the heat, clutching the basin-sized porcelain plate with both hands as she sprinted. Not a single drop of the brimming broth spilled. Grandpa was full of praise. TSK, look at them. That's real skill right there. I told you to practice the 8-section brocade. Have you done it? First, you need to build up your vital energy and get a solid foundation. Then you can learn more, Grandpa. Stop talking already. You go get the ID cards. I'll go pack our bags. I turned and ran upstairs. Grandpa stood there frozen for a few seconds before it finally clicked, and he clapped his hands together. Good heavens, could that corpse-reviving heavenly pearl actually be real? No way. We have to take the Chankuan mirror. 7. By the time the two of us had packed up and run to the parking lot, Jiang Haoyan had already backed the car out. Over here, Chamliu rolled down the rear window. Clutching a large porcelain plate in one hand and gnawing on a lamb bone in the other with great relish, I'd been observing the stars at night recently. A 4-star conjunction. Sigh. I didn't expect it to manifest so quickly. I asked curiously, what's a 4-star conjunction? The 4 stars refer to Saturn, the Moon, Venus, and Jupiter gathering together, aligned in a straight line low in the southwestern sky. When these 4 celestial bodies converge, it signifies a great tang, a major omen of calamity. It portends the rise of evil forces, anxiety for the noble-hearted, and the scattering of the base. It is a profoundly inauspicious sign. That's such an ill omen. Sect Master Chow. Does this mean something bad will happen today? So the corpse pearl is real. I always thought it was just a myth. My grandfather shoved me aside with his hip and hurried to sit next to Chamliu, leaving me with no choice but to take the passenger seat. The corpse pearl isn't as simple as you think. It's not a pearl at all. It's a corpse. What? Grandfather's eyes widened in shock. For real, right? Where there are 10,000 corpses, a king will arise. One corpse, after absorbing the resentment and baleful energy of all the others, evolves into the legendary corpse king. But now, through a twist of fate, this 10,000 corpses pearl has been born. The king and the pearl were locked in a struggle. And now the corpse king has fused with the pearl itself. While it was underwater, the other corpses supplied it with corpse energy, but they also acted as a suppressant. Now that it's on land, once it regains its true form after midnight, its power will be no less than that of the Ghost Mother. The Ghost Mother. Upon hearing this, Jiang Haoyan, who was driving, immediately stepped on the gas. The car lurched forward, causing Chamliu to pitch forward, seizing the moment. She deftly extended the porcelain plate in her hands and neatly caught the spilled soup. Impressive skills, Xiaoyu. Look at that. Just look. Grandpa applauded in appreciation from the side, and I couldn't help but ask curiously, is that the legendary Ghost Mother, the one who devours the Japanese devils? Chamliu didn't answer, intently eating the lamb spine in her hands. Jiang Haoyan clearly had a deep-seated fear of the Ghost Mother. He stepped on the gas again and drove in silence. Speeding the car up, the old man sighed, reached into the porcelain dish, and picked up a piece of lamb spine to gnaw on. That's the taste, Master Chow. No wonder you couldn't bear to leave this big pot behind on your journey. Only someone with your discerning palate would find lamb spine this delicious. With that single remark, he had flattered them both. Stroking his beard, the old man looked immensely pleased with himself. 8. Fushan Lake is the third largest lake in Yunnan. Covering an area of 212 square kilometers, its overall shape resembles a long gourd, and it is situated between the three counties of Qingjiang City, Jiangchuan District, and Huaning County. We only knew that Brother Xing was at Fushan Lake, but we had no idea of the exact location. After we landed in Kunming and the driver asked us where to go, we all just stared at each other, completely stumped. Luckily, I had the screen recording function on during my live stream. I opened my phone and scrolled to the last screenshot. In the picture, Brother Xing is grinning from ear to ear, with a blurry mountain landscape behind him. It looks like there are a few white leaves resting on his forehead. My finger slipped, and I zoomed in on the photo. This looks like a windmill, Master. Are there any windmills near Fushan Lake? The driver leaned over to take a look. Oh, that's Mata Mountain, on the southern shore of Fushan Lake. It's quite high up, but the view is nothing special. Tourists usually go to the Ruby Beach in Yushi City. Are you heading there? Honestly, I couldn't be sure Brother Xing was still by the lake. The jeweler said he'd take a 1-hour flight to get here. He arrived before us. And the two of them might have been in contact privately and already changed the meeting spot, but Chamloyu insisted I go to the lakeside. You don't understand the corpse pearl. Chamloyu pointed a finger up at the glaring sun overhead. Right now, the yang energy is at its peak. That pearl still relies on the corpse energy from the riverbed and can't stray too far from the water's edge. Even if he wants to make the trade, he'll have to wait until Yu hour, when the sun is about to set. Yu hour is from 5 to 7 p.m. I checked my phone. It was exactly 3:15, so we had about 2 hours left. Chamloyu told my grandfather and me to head to the lakeside first to find someone, while she went into the city to gather a whole bunch of ritual tools. Remember, you absolutely must find Brother Xing before 5 o'clock, secure the pearl, and wait for me to arrive. The safety and peaceful lives of the people of Yunnan are in your hands. Chamloyu patted my grandfather on the shoulder, and his face immediately lit up with a healthy glow. Don't worry, sect leader Qiao, you can count on me. 9. We took a taxi to the area near Mata Mountain and began searching for the person along the lakeshore. The weather was beautiful today. Under a cloudless, azure sky, the lake perfectly mirrored the heavens, creating a breathtaking scene where water and sky merged into one. Fushan Lake has always been a famous tourist destination. The lakeshore was bustling with visitors. Every few steps, you'd see someone taking photos or having a picnic on a blanket. My eyes wide open, my grandfather and I scanned the crowd intently as we walked, searching for nearly half an hour. It was almost 4:30 p.m., and the lakeside was even more crowded, but there was still no sign of Brother Xing. I rubbed my tired, aching eyes, feeling a growing sense of urgency. Grandpa, maybe we should split up and search. Before I could finish, I saw Grandpa suck in a sharp breath, his face instantly turning deathly pale. Run, you crazy girl, run. Before I could even process it, Grandpa had already taken off, sprinting forward as fast as his legs could carry him. I was shocked and instinctively started running after him. Has the corpse pearl transformed? You there, in front, stop. A sharp shout came from behind us. Grandpa shuddered and ran even faster. I had just turned my head to look when a dark shadow descended from above and slammed into me. Someone slammed into me from behind, sending me sprawling to the ground with a sharp cry of pain. They twisted my arms behind my back and pinned me firmly to the earth. Thankfully, the grass was soft, so the fall wasn't too bad. I turned my head in terror, only to be struck by a mix of shock and absurdity. Officer, this is all a misunderstanding. In that same moment, another young officer in uniform had already caught up and seized the old man. He gave a cold laugh, pressing down on the old man's shoulder. Think you can run? I was a recruited athlete. 10. The young man interrogated the grandfather. I saw you two sneaking around and watching people first thing this morning. What did you steal? The officer behind me was a bit older. He pulled me to my feet, his thick brows furrowed with impatience. Xiao Zhou, don't waste your breath on them. Take them back to the station first. We'll question them there. I panicked. If I got taken to the station, I wouldn't be back for at least an hour. By then, the opportunity would be long gone. Officer, it's a real misunderstanding. We're not thieves. We haven't done anything. My grandpa used to be a grave robber. Back when I was in middle school, the capital suddenly launched a crackdown, targeting antique dealers like him who were moving black market goods. Grandpa lived on edge every day, sleeping with one eye open, ready to bolt at the slightest sound. He said he wasn't really afraid of going to prison himself. The main thing was that I was still young, and with no other adult in the house. If he got arrested, he had no idea how I'd survive. For all his constant worry and vigilance, He was finally caught while secretly waiting to pick me up from school. After serving a few years, he still couldn't shake the habit of wanting to run at the sight of a police officer. I stamped my foot in frustration, looking at Grandpa with a mix of exasperation and disappointment. Grandpa, I can't believe you. When are you ever going to break this bad habit of yours? You're just holding things up. Only then did Grandpa snap out of it, smacking his own forehead in annoyance. Oh, sorry, force of habit. Ugh, this body of mine is just too quick on the draw. It's so annoying. He put on an ingratiating smile, explained his situation, and then pleaded. We've got things to do, officer. We really can't go to the station. Could you let us off this time, please? My granddaughter is a student at Peking University, the best university in the country. How could she be a thief? Seria, show them your student ID. I took the document out of my bag. Officer Zhou took it, glanced at it, and his expression softened a little. Brother Zhao, look at this. Brother Zhao's face remained stern and unyielding. So the grave robber's gone legit, has he? Then why are you so jumpy? Who are you trying to fool? You're not here for another shady deal, are you? 11. Brother Zhao waved his hand impatiently. Xiao Zhou, you just graduated from the police academy, so pay attention. Fake student IDs are a dime a dozen. People in this line of work love using these identities to lower people's guard. Don't waste your breath on them. Take them back to the station first. Without another word, he grabbed my arm and pulled me forward. I looked up and saw a police car parked in the distance ahead. Xiao Zhou shrugged. After you, gentlemen. Grandpa offered an apologetic smile and tried to smooth things over with a few kind words, but this Brother Zhao remained completely unmoved. I was getting impatient. Grandpa, what do? We were both pushed forward, watching helplessly as we drifted further from the lakeshore. Suddenly, Grandpa let out a pained ouch, and grabbed Officer Zhao's hand. Ah. I should have known I couldn't hide anything from an officer's sharp eyes. I confess, I really was here to deal in black market goods. My eyes widened in shock. Grandpa, what are you talking about? Officer, I've confessed everything. Does that count as cooperation? The other party is a major tomb raiding gang. They just dug up something valuable today and arranged to meet me here for the deal. If I take you to him, will that count as cooperation? Brother Zhao finally cracked a smile, the crow's feet at the corners of his eyes smoothing out. You old fox, you're finally catching on. Grandpa gave me a wink. His name is Brother Xing. He was wearing a white t-shirt and a baseball cap, pretending to be fishing by the lake. It dawned on me, experience really does count. Grandpa's wisdom in life far surpasses my own. I quickly nodded in agreement. Yes, that's him, Grandpa. But by doing this, aren't you bending the rules? What are we supposed to do next? Grandpa's eyes widened sharply. To hell with the rules of the underworld. He's the one who asked to meet. Are we just supposed to take the fall for it? 12. Our little act worked perfectly. Officer Zhao didn't suspect a thing. Officer Zhou even smacked his own forehead and chimed in. The fisherman. Hey, Zhao, didn't we just pass a guy up ahead? He was arguing with some fat guy. Looked pretty shady. Yeah. I think I remember someone like that. Officer Zhao pondered for a moment, then pulled a pair of handcuffs from his pocket, secured Grandpa to a nearby bench, and gave me my instructions. Morongyu, right, Xiao Zhou, take off your uniform jacket and escort her to the rendezvous point. After saying that, he also took off his own jacket and draped it over Grandpa's hands, preparing to blend in as a passerby and follow behind us. I was a little worried about Grandpa. But then it occurred to me that if we went and subdued Brother Xing right away, and then waited for Qiaomoyu to come deal with that bead, Grandpa should be fine staying here. Xiao Zhou led me forward. I glanced back anxiously at Grandpa, only to see him sitting on a chair with perfect composure, one leg crossed over the other. A police uniform was draped over his arm, and he was waving to passers-by. Hey there, chubby, come have a seat. Let's chat for a bit. The man across the way hurriedly waved his hand in refusal. No, officer, you're busy. Haha, no worries. I'm just glad to see you all settled and doing well. Officer Zhou from next door couldn't help but chuckle. Your grandpa's quite a character. I breathed a sigh of relief too. That's just how Grandpa is. He never lets himself be unhappy, no matter where he goes. We walked a few hundred meters along the lakeshore as the sun gradually set. A fiery sunset blazed across half the sky. Everyone was holding up their phones to take pictures, marveling at the stunning beauty of Fuxian Lake. So many people. Xiao Zhou nodded. It's the weekend, and a sunset like this is rare. Once everyone posts it on their social media, even more people will show up soon. I'm deeply worried. If this gets resolved smoothly, that's one thing. But if it doesn't, the more people there are, the greater the casualties will be. 13. Take a look. Is that him up ahead? Officer Zhou stopped and, with a conspiratorial air, pulled me to hide behind the crowd. I looked up, and the middle-aged man by the lakeside, his hat pulled low, was none other than Brother Xing. Holy crap, this is just weird. What the hell is going on? Brother Xing was frantic, sweat beading on his forehead. He wiped his face and bent down to pick up the beads scattered on the floor. Standing opposite him was a short, stout young man with a vibrant green jade Buddha pendant hanging from his neck, likely the jeweler here for the deal. I get it now. Are you telling me you never had any intention of doing business with me in the first place? Are you stalling for time? Did you line up another buyer? The jeweler crossed his arms, glaring furiously at Xing. Xing began to explain in a panic. Mr. Wang, what are you talking about? You saw it yourself. I had just handed you the pearl. And it slipped right to the ground. For the past 10 minutes, it's been vanishing from my pocket one moment and falling into the grass the next, as if it had legs and could fly. I'm telling you, it's downright spooky. At the mention of ghosts, Brother Xing's eyes widened, and he swallowed hard in fear. Ghosts? Ahem, you think this pearl is really cursed? Maybe I should just toss it back. What good is money if I'm not alive to spend it? Brother Xing finally picked up the pearl and made as if to throw it into the lake, but Boss Wang quickly grabbed his arm. Hey, don't do that, I was just kidding, haha. Brother Xing also grinned smugly, feigning a gesture with his arm before tightly clutching the bead in his hand. The two of them huddled together and resumed their hushed conversation. That's him, damn it. I can't believe he went behind our backs and arranged a meeting with another buyer, Officer Zhou. We've caught him red-handed, we can't let him get away. Alright, you stay right here and don't move. Officer Zhou circled around to the front and signaled to Officer Chen in the distance. The two officers then moved in, one from the front and one from behind, to close in on Xingji. 14. Xingji was easily subdued by the two men, but he struggled desperately. Who the hell are you guys? Robbing me in broad daylight. Someone call the police. Help, I'm being robbed. I am the police. You're the antiquities smuggler here. A thief crying stop thief. Officer Chen slapped the man's face hard with his police ID. The onlookers, seeing this, immediately formed an excited circle around them to watch the drama unfold. I pushed through the crowd and squeezed my way in. Officer, that bead in his hand is the evidence. There's proof inside it. Let me show you. As I spoke, I tried to pry open Brother Xing's clenched fist. He kept his hands balled up tight, ducking behind Officer Chen, the veins at his temples throbbing with rage. Morongyu, it's you. How can someone like you even exist? You're so eaten up with jealousy, you'd actually bring the police here to frame me. Officer, she's setting me up. She's just jealous. Can't stand to see anyone do well. I have proof too. I'll show you the video. Brother Xing was furious, and Boss Wang chimed in with his own grievances. The two of them recounted the whole incident, then pulled out a phone to show Officer Chen the recorded livestream. When he saw me saying it was a corpse demon sky pearl and telling Brother Xing to throw it in the water immediately, Officer Chen's temple twitched violently. Ah, so you're Brother Xing. I just finished watching the stream and was actually looking for you by the lake. Yeah, we've been searching for a good 2 hours. Haha, Brother Xing. Let's have a look at that corpse demon pearl of yours. The onlookers joined in with loud jeers. Officer Chen, finally understanding the situation, put down his phone and shot me a fierce glare. What's wrong with you, young lady? Filing a false police report is a crime. The thought of being tricked by me and my grandpa into coming here to arrest Brother Xing made Officer Chen even more furious. You're coming with me to the police station, right now. I can't go. There's no time. The body is about to wash ashore. Sweat pouring down my face in panic, I ducked under Officer Chen's reaching hand and threw myself at Xingji. I knocked him to the ground, but his fist remained clenched tightly around the bead. Without a second thought, I lowered my head and sank my teeth viciously into Xingji's wrist. Ah, Brother Xing let out a sharp cry and instinctively released his grip, sending the emerald green bead tumbling to the ground. Just as I was about to snatch it up, a blur flashed before my eyes. Officer Zhou had already scooped the bead into his hand. Give me the bead. I lunged onto Officer Zhou's back, but he seized my wrist with one hand and, in one fluid motion, executed a perfect shoulder throw, slamming me hard onto the grass. 15. The onlookers erupted in uproarious laughter, with some even holding up their phones to livestream the scene. Ha ha ha, that's instant karma for the green-eyed monster. Morongyu is seriously unhinged. She dares to snatch someone's stuff right in front of the police. Some people are just like that. If they can't have something, they'd rather see it destroyed. It's absolutely insane. The sound of everyone's overlapping chatter drifted into my ears. I lay on the ground, one hand clutching my side, my head spinning and my forehead slick with cold sweat. Time was running out. I couldn't afford to waste another second, struggling to my feet. I turned around and pointed a trembling finger toward the lake in horror. Look, there's a body washing ashore. My plan was just to bluff Officer Zhou, to create a distraction so I could snatch the bead back from his hand while everyone was preoccupied, but the next second, I froze in place, my heart pounding wildly, my face instantly draining of all color. In my line of sight, a grayish figure with stiff limbs was slowly crawling out of the water. I looked up at the half-sunken sun. The sky was ablaze with an eerie, blood-red sunset. So it's already 5 o'clock. That was fast. Heh heh heh, little girl, that trick of yours won't work on us. Officer Zhou chuckled, his shoulders shaking. He tightened his grip on the bead in his hand, turned around, and shot a quick glance toward the lakeshore. So what if I looked? Let me see. Hey, wait, who are you? Swimming is strictly forbidden in Fuxian Lake. Officer Zhou's expression was stern as he shouted at the man. The onlookers also began to voice their disapproval. Yeah, who is this guy? No class at all. Look, his clothes are filthy. He's not actually a floating corpse, is he? Ha 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 ha. I grabbed Officer Zhou's sleeve, making one last desperate effort. That's a real floating corpse. Evacuate the crowd immediately, then throw the bead back into the water. Before Officer Zhou could speak, Officer Chen beside him let out a cold snort. Are you trying to tell us how to do our jobs? 16. The floating corpse drew nearer, its head bowed, clad in strange, antiquated garments. Its skin seemed coated in a greasy film, merging with the fabric of its clothes, from which a viscous fluid dripped steadily. A jolt of shock ran through me. This was an adipocere corpse. An adipocere corpse, also known as a grave wax formation, occurs when a body decomposes in a specific environment, typically waterlogged or in moisture-rich soil. The body's fat converts into a soap-like, waxy substance that seeps out. These corpses do not decay in the usual way. They are encased in a layer of creamy white, waxy material, giving them an appearance, at first glance, not unlike a plaster sculpture. Hey man, someone just called you a floating corpse. Haha, how do you feel about being mistaken for a dead body? The young man who had been live streaming me on his phone chuckled and stepped closer. Holding his fist up like a microphone, the wax corpse slowly raised its head. I gasped. A chill running down my spine. It looked as if the flowing water had struck him during the waxification process, melting the features of his face completely out of place. His eyeballs, like those of a lizard, had shifted almost to the sides of his cheeks, while his nose protruded grotesquely from the top of his head, nostrils flaring outward. Most horrifying of all was the mouth, devoid of an upper lip. The entire gum line was exposed. Holy shit. The young man let out a shout and leaped backward on the spot, but it was too late. The wax corpse lunged forward and sank its teeth into his neck. Oh no, a monster. Help, somebody help. The crowd instantly descended into chaos. People screamed and scattered in all directions. Several young children were knocked down in the crush, crying out in distress. Quick, give me the pearl. I lunged towards Officer Zhou to snatch the corpse-reviving pearl. This time, he didn't resist. He just stood there, mouth slightly agape, letting me take the orb. Officer Chen snapped back to his senses and rushed forward, trying to pull the waxy corpse off the person, but the moment he reached out, the corpse was too slippery to get a grip on. The young man pinned to the ground had his carotid artery torn open, blood sprayed out as his limbs thrashed and convulsed wildly. 17, get him in the water, now, I yelled frantically, waving my arms. Officer Chen gritted his teeth and delivered a heavy kick to the wax corpse's shoulder, sending it sprawling to the ground. The wax corpse struggled back to its feet, lunging forward once more. That's when Officer Zhou joined the fray, bracing one hand on Officer Chen's shoulder. He launched himself into a sweeping aerial kick, sending the creature flying with tremendous force. The wax corpse splashed back into the water with a loud plop, sending spray flying everywhere. Nice shot. I clapped my hands excitedly, only to realize the pearl was still in my grasp. In a panic, I took a running start, swung my arm high, and sent the pearl sailing through the air in a perfect arc before it plunged into the lake. My 2 million. Brother Xing let out a wail of despair, too afraid to run to the lake's edge to look. He could only stomp his feet on the spot in sheer frustration. Officer, you're my witness. Make her pay me 2 million. Enough. Pay what? Shut your mouth. Officer Chen wiped the cold sweat from his face and looked at me, still shaken. That thing isn't coming back up, is it? Probably not. I was speechless, my jaw hanging slack and unresponsive. On the lake behind Officer Chen, countless bubbles surged to the surface like boiling water, then burst open to reveal gray, humanoid figures within. Gulp, I gulped hard, my feet slowly backing away. Morongyu, not this again. Don't you dare scare me. Officer Chen glanced back swiftly and drew in a sharp, cold breath. Quick, Xiao Zhou, evacuate the crowd first. The two officers remained remarkably dutiful. Even at a moment like this, they didn't think of saving themselves. Instead, they split up and sprinted along the lakeshore in opposite directions, shouting at the top of their lungs for people to get away. However, the wax corpse attacks were confined to our section of the shore. Fuxian Lake has a very long coastline, so people in other areas had no idea what was happening. They continued their leisurely activities, some even curiously approaching the water's edge to get a look at the gray figures. Officer Chen and his partner had removed their police uniforms and were in plain clothes, so many people didn't take their warnings seriously. It wasn't until the wax corpses that had come ashore lunged at the crowd, knocking people down and tearing into them one after another, that everyone finally realized the danger. Screams erupted as people fled in all directions, plunging the shoreline into utter chaos. 18. Along the vast shoreline, waxen corpses were emerging from the water one after another. The air was filled with the sounds of struggle and snarling. My palms were clammy with sweat, my forehead beaded with it. We're done for. Grandpa, what are we supposed to do? Wait, Grandpa, my heart felt like it was seized by a giant hand, skipping a beat as a wave of sheer terror washed over me. Grandpa was still handcuffed to the chair, completely unable to evade the wax corpse's attack. I turned and stumbled toward the bench, my legs so weak they could barely carry me. As I neared the bench, I saw Grandpa from a distance, one hand braced on it, hopping back and forth over it like a game of leapfrog while a wax corpse circled him. Grandpa, I sprinted over. Grandpa turned his head, his face lighting up with relief. He pushed off the chair and jumped again, narrowly dodging the wax corpse's attack. He was gasping for air, his chest heaving violently. Huff, you crazy girl. Puff, where's the key? I stopped in my tracks and said awkwardly, I didn't bring it. Useless. Then what are you here for? To collect my corpse. I might as well have given birth to a wooden club instead of you. Grandfather was furious. I looked around, spotted an overturned folding chair, rushed over, and smashed it down hard on the wax corpse. But this wax corpse was different from the others. I smashed it with all my might, yet it showed no reaction. Instead, its eyes turned blood red, and it let out a furious roar as it lunged at me. I turned and ran. After a few steps, a copper coin came flying straight at me. Get down. The coin embedded itself in the wax corpse's forehead, and the creature collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. Overwhelmed with relief, I rushed over and threw my arms around Xiao Moyu's arm. Oh, thank heavens, you're finally back. What happened? You couldn't find Brother Sheng. 19. Xiao Moyu walked over, casually pulled out a piece of wire to pick the lock for the old man. After I explained the situation to her, her face stiffened. Oh no, it's too late to throw the orb back now. Once the hour of the rooster arrives, yang wanes and yin waxes, the yin energy grows, and without the orb to absorb the corpse chi, those wax corpses are beyond control. The orb has been baking in the sun for too long. It can't generate enough yin energy in time to restrain the corpses. She unlocked the handcuffs, formed a hand seal with both hands, and muttered to herself, the rooster hour belongs to yin metal. Metal governs slaughter. Yang fire overcomes metal. Got it. I'll set up a Shurgen array. Place the pearl at the focal point to rapidly channel its yin energy. You go into the water and retrieve it. My eyes widened. What? Xiao Moyu explained patiently. The trigram gen represents a great mountain. The dispelling gen formation is an array designed to dissipate the power of the malevolent spirits within the mountain. I'll locate the formation's focal point and use a yin drawing technique to extract the subterranean yin energy, concentrating it at that spot. The pearl will activate very quickly. I waved my hands dismissively, my face a mask of terror. You want me to go into the water and retrieve the pearl? Exactly. That pearl has passed through your hands. It has a prior connection to you. If you enter the water and follow your inner sense, you'll be able to find it. Enough talk. Good thing I had the foresight to bring everything we need. I'll have Jiang Haoyan bring over the diving gear. You get ready. Grandpa stood by, hesitating to speak. Sect Master Qiao, our Yaya can't do it. Xiao Moyu's eyes widened in a glare. So, you'll go with her. Ahem, don't you worry, girl, going down there is a perfect chance to toughen up. I've done the math for you. You'll live to be 80. This old man, though, no can do. These old bones would fall apart the moment they hit the water. I was on the verge of tears. I really didn't want to go into the water. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I was partly to blame for how things had turned out. Biting my lip, my whole body stiff, I mechanically started putting on the diving gear. Chiamoyu was bustling about, a peachwood sword in one hand and a bunch of command flags in the other, clearing away the wax-coated corpses while snatching moments to set up a formation. 20. Shallow water is clear, deep water is green. At the shore of Fushan Lake. The water is so transparent you can see the pebbles at the bottom, yet, just a meter or two further out, the color shifts abruptly, transforming into a jewel-like shade of blue-green. Fully geared up, I plunged into the water. The wetsuit shielded me from the lake's icy chill, but a creeping cold still seeped through the fabric. I descended a few meters, and with each passing moment, the cold intensified until my body began to shiver uncontrollably. At this depth, there was still some light reaching the bottom, but the further down I went, the more profound the darkness became, a pitch-black abyss that felt like it was hiding some nameless, lurking beast. I suppressed the fear in my heart, trying my best to calm myself. I closed my eyes and focused on sensing the connection with that bead. Soon, I faintly heard a gentle woman's voice calling to me from the distance. Morongyu, come here. I took a deep breath and swam toward the direction of the voice. I dove deep, and the world around me was quickly swallowed by darkness. I had to rely on the searchlight on my head to illuminate just a small patch of the abyss ahead. Scattered massive boulders came into view. Not far off, a towering platform rose from the seabed, majestic as a pyramid, though its top was flat. It seems the local legends were true. There really was an ancient city lying at the bottom of these waters. I circled halfway around the platform, trying to sense the location of the pearl, when a white shadow flickered at the edge of my vision. My heart skipped a beat. I whipped my head around to look. But the water below was an inky black void, empty of everything. It was as if what I had just seen was merely a trick of my mind. It's fine, I told myself. The floating corpse is already ashore. The water is safe. I kept repeating this reassurance as I continued circling the platform. Soon enough, I spotted an opening. Peering inside, I saw a narrow passageway leading into the platform's interior. My experience in that ancient tomb on the grassland left me with a deep-seated dread of these cramped, confined spaces. Every instinct screamed at me not to go in, but the pearl was in there. Come on, Lu Xiaokue, you can do this. Gritting my teeth, I pushed off with my legs and wriggled inside. Just as most of my body was through, a sudden, powerful force yanked at me from behind. It felt like someone had grabbed my ankle. Panic-stricken, I thrashed about instinctively, flailing my arms and kicking my legs. As I kicked, I glanced back. That's when I saw it. A thick tangle of water weeds at the cave entrance had snared my foot. 21. I breathed a sigh of relief, turned around to untangle the seaweed, and continued swimming inward. Not far into the passage, the space suddenly opened up. The interior of the platform was hollow, and the pearl lay quietly on the ground, emitting a faint, ethereal glow under the beam of the searchlight. I hadn't expected things to go so smoothly. I dove down and picked up the pearl. At that very moment, a ghastly pale hand shot out from the darkness and clamped down forcefully on the back of my own hand. I looked up and was scared out of my wits. Facing me was a female wax corpse. Her features were perfectly preserved, with pitch-black eyes fixed intently on me, and a sinister smile curling at the corners of her mouth. I threw a punch straight at her face, then snatched up the bead and paddled forward for dear life. Just as I rushed into the passageway, I collided head-on with another ghastly pale face, its mouth and nose twisted, its eyes clustered in the center. Shit, I let out a terrified scream, a huge bubble bursting from my mouth. I had no choice but to turn back and face the female wax corpse. At least she was better looking and less terrifying. Fortunately, the wax corpse's movements were stiff, and it was even slower in the water than on land. Even with my poor stamina, I wasn't at a disadvantage. I could barely handle one of them, but when the second one came at me, I was immediately overwhelmed. As the other wax corpse lunged, I kicked out hard, using the momentum to push myself in the opposite direction and scramble into the passageway. I paddled frantically, my arms churning like windmills. The passage wasn't long. I should have been out by now. Yet no matter how far I swam, the narrow corridor just stretched on endlessly ahead. It finally dawned on me, belatedly, that I must have taken a wrong turn. This tower clearly had more than one exit. The passageway curved ahead, and to the left, I was surprised to find a stone chamber. It wasn't large, maybe a dozen square meters. I swam inside, swept the beam of my searchlight around, and my heart instantly seized with terror. 7 or 8 waxen corpses stood upright in the stone chamber, suspended in the water and swaying gently with the current. This is it. With so many of them, I'm afraid my life ends here. A wave of immense terror washed over me, my limbs went numb, and my eyes grew moist. I stood frozen in place for several minutes. To my surprise, the wax corpses did not attack. Only then did I muster a bit of strength and, driven by curiosity, cautiously moved closer to examine them. As I moved closer and shone my light, I realized these wax corpses were different from the ones on the shore. Most of their flesh had been gnawed away, leaving only stark white bones behind. Some were missing arms or legs, their limbs incomplete. What could have done this? The thought flashed through my mind, and I cursed inwardly. Could there be piranhas down here? I immediately turned and swam for the exit, but it was too late. A massive dark shadow shot out from the darkness and slammed headlong into my calf. 22. A sharp pain shot through my calf. I looked down to see a chunk of flesh torn from my leg. A strange, jet-black fish, about a meter long, was staring me down, with its wide lips and two long barbels. It was a massive catfish. Catfish are carnivorous and aggressive, having fed on so many corpses here. This one had clearly set its sights on me as its next meal. A surge of rage washed over me. I couldn't handle Chamoyu. I couldn't handle the wax corpse, and now even a damn fish was picking on me. I reached down to my thigh and felt the dagger I'd strapped there for protection before diving in. As the catfish charged again, I twisted my body and thrust the blade down with all my might. Of course, I missed. Instead, its tail whipped around and slammed into the small of my back with such force that my entire spine went numb. Pain and fury boiled over. I lost my temper completely. Charging back in a blind rage, I swung and stabbed wildly with the dagger. I must have hit something, because blood rapidly began to cloud the water around me. My mind was a mess. I was just acting on pure, frantic instinct. By the time I calmed down and looked again, the fish was long gone. I made a full circuit of the stone chamber and discovered that the wall at the very back also had a hole in it. Going back the way I came meant another fight with those two wax corpses. It was better to go in here and see if there was another way out. Without another thought, I squeezed into the hole and swam forward for a stretch. Fortunately, my gamble paid off. I emerged from the stone platform. Unfortunately, a huge school of silver carp loomed before me, some lazily swaying in the water, others half buried in the muddy bottom. It felt like I'd stumbled right into their lair. We both froze for a second. Then, several carp darted toward me. Fighting was the last thing on my mind. I swam for the lake's surface with everything I had. My back thudded with heavy impacts as the shimmering light of the surface drew closer and closer. Finally, I burst out of the water, tore off my mask, and gasped for air. Grandpa, help, a fish is biting me. You're useless. It's just a few fish. Oh my God, Master Chiao, help, there's a shark in the lake. You look like a shark to me. Xiaomoyu rolled her eyes and casually tossed a few talismans onto the lake's surface. With a deafening boom, a series of lightning flashes erupted, leaving half my body numb. 23. I mustered every last ounce of strength to swim back to shore. Collapsing onto the bank and gasping for air, Xiaomoyu took the bead from my hand, wrapped it in a talisman, and placed it beneath a large tree up ahead. She chanted a long incantation, and almost immediately, a chill wind began to howl, causing the temperature to plummet several degrees. The wax corpses ceased their attacks, freezing in place as countless white threads emerged from their bodies, connecting them to the celestial pearl. Slowly, one by one, all the wax corpses turned around, walked to the lake's edge, and began plunging into the water with a series of loud splashes, like dumplings being dropped into a pot. The people on the shore all stopped what they were doing, staring in stunned disbelief at the scene. Holy shit, this master is incredible. I thought Morongyu was a fraud, but she actually knows her stuff. Right, what's wrong with that brother Xing? He just wouldn't listen. Look at the mess now. So many people are dead. Brother Xing was also bitten by the wax corpse. He lay on the ground, his face deathly pale, clinging to life by a thread. Xiaomoyu retrieved the bead and let out a sigh of relief. Everyone, call 120.